I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
Wait.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA, flying solo for the moment. We're gonna remedy that very, very soon. I promise you. We got a lot to talk about. Fellas. We saw how real fighting is done. The things that puts asses in the seats and gets people talking. We're talking skills plus knockout. None of that running around, shaking your ass type of thing. We're gonna talk about all of that. We're going to talk about Jesse Bam Rodriguez's big win over Sor Rungvisai last night. Fantastic performance, taking down the tough Thai in 8 rounds. We're also going to be talking about Akhmadaliev, possibly maybe taking on Fulton, who wins that one, and many more things to come, fellas. We're going to be taking phone calls as well in about 40-45 minutes, so stay tuned for that. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. Don't forget, if you want to donate via the Super Chat, you can do so. You can certainly donate by joining the BDA membership program. That way you get special emojis and badges. But the most important thing is that you continue to like and subscribe and spread that BDA gospel. All right, fellas, we need to start educating people out there. There's a lot of heathens, a lot of idiots, if I may say so. And, it's our duty here to start setting people straight, straightening people out. Now, in any event, we're going to get down to that. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Carlos Mendoza, Eparokua, the Quags. Shout out to the Quags. Team Batman Boxing, Alejandro, Soothsayer, Hard Recoil, SSC in the house as well. Official Scorecard Boxing. Shout out to Official. Hey, everybody should check out his film analysis that he did about Bam Rodriguez. And it should tell you why he's so good. He's not one of these overrated American boxers that everybody loves to cream their panties over. Because he moves and look at that skill. Skills pay the bills. Yeah, are you afraid of the guy? Because if you're not afraid of the guy, I can't really put him pound for pound. Not in good conscience. I cannot do it. Can't lie to you fellas out there. I'm not going to do that to you. Shout out to the Quags, Aaron Cuco, Lobito, a.k.a. Gonzalo in the house as well. Shout out to Gonzalo, Knockout Ned, Darth Vader, What About Me, Rax is in the house as well. Max Palacios, Iceman, Neil Simpson UK, Eparokua, Alejandro Solis, Super Sardonic, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let's get down to it, fellas. Actually, let me invite a couple of people over here. Start cooking with a little oil. Yeah, and by the way, there was some guy, I think it was the guy from the Boxing Rant. I forget his name, but he tweeted something about Bam Rodriguez being much, much more superior to Jaron Ennis. And boy, oh boy, did I get people riled up, man. And hopefully we can get people riled up here too, just by speaking the truth. That's why a lot of these people hate nowadays. They cannot stand the truth. And we're here to spread the BDA gospel. And we cannot lie to you, fellas. We just can't do it. All right. We got Gonzalo dropping by. We got Jimmy on the line as well. Fellas, thank you for joining us, man. How you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday here?
Doing all right, BD. Good and you?
I'm doing fantastic. Listen, let's put the niceties out of the way here. Let's talk some real. Let's get down to business. Let's get down to brass tacks, as they say. The fucking Jesse Bam Rodriguez beat up Sor Rungvisai, 8th round stoppage. I'm telling you, man, it's. I gotta tell you, when I see pound for pound lists, I want to see guys who have skill, but who also go for the kill. Because watching Bam Rodriguez, he could have stepped back, could have pot shotted his way to a decision, shaking his ass, smiling, running out the clock in the last round, and then having his mother start a riot in the press conference. He didn't do that. He kept it classy. He put on combination punching, real punching, and he dismantled him. Who wants to go first on what they saw last night?
Gonzalo, you're more than welcome, my brother.
Hey, let me jump in. Yeah, man, he wasn't safety first. No, he was in your face first. He was in your face first, and in the end of the day, this is what the people want to watch. And certainly, it comes with the territory. You got to be lively against a power puncher like Sor Rungvisai. You cannot sleep on your laurels. So, are you going to be safety first or in your face? Because if you throw punches and you keep the opponent busy, it gives that opponent less of an opportunity to shoot punches back. And this is what this little kid, world champion, I might say, Bam Rodriguez did. And one of the qualities that counts a lot in boxing is to be aggressive. It's not like in the civilian world, where like if I'm fucking like super aggressive, people don't want to hang out with me. I'm gonna drink all the beer. I'm gonna eat the chips. I'm gonna flip the tables around, and my guests are gonna run away. But in the sport of boxing, that's something that a lot of people want to have, but a lot of people don't want to do the work. They don't want to walk through the fire. But like I said, it comes with the territory. If the other is dangerous, instead of like safety first, yeah, he's in your face first because he's keeping the opponent busy, and therefore he's controlling. Not only controlling, he dominated Sor Rungvisai, and he doubled down, and he made it count, and he stopped the boogeyman of the lower weight division. So I think that was an excellent pound-for-pound performance. It was really good, man.
And can I say something here, just to add to that? It's when you look at Devin Haney, for example, when everyone was going after Canelo for the drug cheating, and Valdez, when he tested positive, everyone again went after Canelo, saying that he's stable, he's all filled with cheaters. Devin Haney was piling on too. And then what happens when he sees Canelo in person? He's all giddy, jumping around. Remember that cartoon there from the Looney Tunes where they had the little dog who's always following the big dog around and always jumping around and idolizing that big dog? That's what Devin Haney looked like around Canelo, because these guys look at fighters like Canelo and they look at the adulation that these guys get because they actually put on good fights, and they go, fuck, could I do that? Could I, fight with heart and really try to put some combos together and try to stop a guy and put some hurting on him? And if I could I get the same adulation? It starts playing mind tricks with them, and they can't handle it. So, these guys definitely respect people like Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who go out there, show you some skills, but at the same time give you something back for your money, and that is a knockout. Jimmy, what did you think of the performance?
Jesus, really? I mean, no matter what I'm going to say, it's not going to do it justice. I think that kid is, I've been high on him. Be honest with you, it's not because I did the work, and checked out all the. I'm lazy. I just wait for Steve Kim to say who, if he ever says to, drops a DM and says who to look for, and he tells you somebody, pay attention to what he's saying, because he's only done that a couple of times, and both times he's been dead on the money with me. So I meant sure to look out for him, and sure enough, holy shit! Like you said, listen, Rungvisai is a power puncher, but that's what he depends on. But because that's the way he fights, to your point, he could have stayed at the outside and just picked him apart, never put himself in the fucking kitchen. But you know what I mean? To build that kind of cake, man, you gotta break some eggs. And he stepped into the fire. He was willing to eat shots, which he did take some shots. And I don't know if his power is even surprising him. I doubt it. I mean, I'm sure he knows how hard he hits, but that power wasn't really what, when people were talking about him, was always his footwork, his maturity for his age. But that wasn't one of the things being thrown around. Now it will be. Because I'll tell you right now, if I remember correctly, I don't think anybody's even stopped that kid, Rungvisai, before. And he's fought some big names. And this dude, I mean, he went out and that was the demolishing. He picked him apart, obviously, with his speed, his angles. I mean, I know during the broadcast that they said his favorite fight is Lomachenko. I'll tell you, he definitely loves working that step to the side angle and his side kept like, where you going? Boom! And he gets right to the face over and over. No, it was a stamp yourself. Like, just in case you didn't see what I did to Cora, into the boxing world. Bang, he stamped it with that one. That kid is tour de force, and he's only 22 years old. I mean, it's great. He's what I follow this fucking sport for.
That's very well said. And this is coming from a guy that's seen it all. He's seen Mike Tyson, Marvin Hagler, Manny Pacquiao. That's coming from Jimmy, man. And here's the other thing. All these people that were creaming their assholes over Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, they're not talking about Bam Rodriguez, another young 20-year-old, 22 years old apparently. He just turned 22, beating up and stopping a veteran, a monster, in Sor Rungvisai. And I don't hear that much from their side. We're going to talk about that later on. Don't worry about that. We're going to talk about that. But for the moment, this is celebrating what we just saw last night, a good display of boxing. And, I got to give it up to What Rep It. He put it very succinctly last night. He said, when you look at guys pound for pound, you want to be impressed. You want to look at guys that do things that you couldn't do. Because we set the bar very high here. That's just the type of people we are. Very classy people. So when we watch a boxer and we're paying for that, we want to see somebody wow us, right? When you watch a guy like Bam Rodriguez, Artur Beterbiev, Naoya Inoue, Lomachenko, Alexander Usyk going up to heavyweight and beating up bigger men, that makes me go, wow, I'm paying for that. I'd gladly pay for. I'm paying for my DAZN subscription and ESPN, well, TSN here in Canada. Now, when Shakur Stevenson fights and Devin Haney fight, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually not even going to watch it on the official apps. I'm going to watch it on the internet, on another website, just out of principle. So I don't give them the views. Because listen, if these people don't want to give us a show, I'm not giving them the views then. I'm not giving them the money. I'm not giving them the ratings. And that's a new stance that I'm taking here. And I hope everybody follows along. Because you really gotta set these people straight. And again, I'm already seeing a couple of people out there jealous of the type of performance that Bam Rodriguez put. No back foot bitching, no shoulder roll, shaking his ass. This was clean boxing with power punching. Now, I gotta tell you, I didn't really like a little bit of the clinching that was going on there from Bam Rodriguez, but at least he wasn't running, and at least sometimes he would do a little bit of an old trick where he would initiate the clinch, and then he would shove the other guy back, making it seem as if it was the other guy that was initiating the clinch. I thought that was very smart. Yeah.
BDA, and one thing I kind of noticed, I'm not entirely sure, but this is just my intuition. Well, I think Bam Rodriguez has got a lot of stoppages when he was fighting at 112, but now that he moved up, he's not looking to me like he's like necessarily a power puncher. But just think about Devin Haney. If you're that good and you're dominating other fighters and you're getting the win kind of clearly and easily, going back to Bam Rodriguez, I don't think he's a power puncher either. But just the way he fought and the activity that he brought was able for him to get the stoppage. So sometimes it's not about hitting like a fucking Gennady Golovkin, like a fucking Mack truck. It's about the activity and the punch count. When you got that dude hurt, when to double up, when to step away, and when to seize those opportunities.
Well, but Gonzalo, the point is, a lot of these guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, they've had it way too easy coming up. Everything was handed to them. They've been groomed because they want the blackface on ESPN. That's the culture we live in now. Partly, really, that's really the reason. It's now if you're black, you're a star. If you got some hand speed and you're black, everyone's going to call you the next Mayweather. And that's what ESPN, for the most part, are banking on. So they've had it easy. They haven't had to dug in and go to war. The guys like Bam Rodriguez, Artur Beterbiev, now Inoue, they could stand on the back foot and bitch it out. But they go for the kill because it does take a certain amount of skill and balls to do that. And I'm sorry to say, some of these other fighters, they don't have that. They hurt their hands. Look at Shakur Stevenson. When he finally went out for the kill against some nobody, about 2 years ago, he broke his hands. That's how these guys are built. They got little brittle bones, like 70-year-old women. I gotta tell you, it's disgusting.
And BD, my point was, because I think I got misunderstood. Devin Haney could have taken out Cambosos by some people in the chat. Devin Haney could have taken out Cambosos because he was that much better. why not? Why play with your food? If you can, it's actually doing yourself a disservice because if you take that dude out, you're actually benefiting your career, right?
Exactly.
And Haney didn't do that, but Ben Rodriguez, like I said, I don't think he's a power puncher. They could be kind of comparable, pound for pound, Haney and Rodriguez, because he's a little dude and he's coming up from 112. But the way he's fighting, he's actually seeking to get the knockout, and that's why he's getting it. Right?
That's what I was saying, Gonzalo. That's what I was saying for you. Like, I was piggybacking off your point. Like, these guys actually have the ability to do it, but they don't. Either they don't have the balls or they're not built for it. Like, Devin Haney could have done it, but he doesn't want to because he's not built for. And he shouldn't, by the way, because he's got no chin. You saw what happened when he tried to go after it against Linares. He almost got his ass knocked out. So I don't blame him for that. Shakur Stevenson, on the other hand, he's not built for that type of stuff. His hands aren't built for it. Yeah.
You know what, Jimmy? Something real fast, just to.
Take your time, brother.
And this young man, he said something really interesting. Now that I think about it, he's only 22, and the after, because he's got good people advising him. The reason he was so happy he knocked out Rungvisai because he was hitting hard from the beginning, and he was hitting hard all the way up to like the 8th or 9th round when he got the stoppage. So that means he realized that he was ever so dangerous, always. And therefore, you don't want to play with your food because you can get caught, especially going down to the latter rounds. You're getting tired yourself. And if you're getting tired, that dude can clip it with one punch and knock you out as well.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point right there from Gonzalo. Shout out to Blue Collar Sports TV, Del Boy. Check out his boxing channel, Blue Collar Sports TV. He says, MJ Akhmadaliev hurt his hand. He still went for the finish. That is what we want to see. Exactly. We're going to talk more about Akhmadaliev. That's an excellent point right there. So just want to point it out.
And I'd like to say, to add on to what Gonzalo's saying, he's not a pure, like, you wouldn't go out there, which is good because that means, like, he's not a pure power puncher, like a pure power punch, because you almost don't want that, because then a lot of them fall in love with him, love with their power, and they try to pot shot people. That's what happened with Davis. He's turned into a one-shot artist. But what I was most impressed with him, and I tweeted it earlier to Steve too, that when he had him hurt in the 8th round, what do you almost see? I don't care if a guy has 30 fights. A lot of guys get amped up, right? And they jump on. They end up with the crowding. They take away their space. They're fucking wailing shots all over the place. Half of them are missing. You know what I mean? They punch themselves out, swinging at air until they finally land a shot. That dude stepped in, got his distance down, and then threw a barrage of punches, but the right ones. And almost every one was accurate because, to Gonzalez's point, he didn't need to take his head off. He just needed to make sure they kept landing because the reason why the ref, when you keep taking shots like that and the ref's seeing you're not doing anything to defend yourself, that it's just getting beat on like that to the head, they're going to stop the fight. And that's exactly what he did. I thought it was a good stoppage because he was taking a beating. But the know-all to do that, the calmness, it's the same thing in almost any sport. Good goal scorers, everything gets cold, in hockey gets slowed down around the net, and they just, you know what I mean? They just have the ability to slow the pace down, and no matter how fast or frenetic the pace is, and they can score. And the same thing with elite boxers, like, instead of getting all amped up and wailing away, he stepped in, never crowded him, kept his distance, and threw the correct punches to put the stoppage. It was just a great performance all around.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution with the super chat. He says, stylistically, Gallo Estrada is going to be Bam's toughest fight. Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution with the super chat. What do you guys think about that? You think Estrada is going to be the toughest fight? Because, I mean, they're talking about Rodriguez moving down to 112, which is where he should have been, I think, from the get-go. But if it's at 115, he could take on Chocolatito, Estrada. What do you guys think about those fights? Even a guy like Ioka?
I think so because, Rungvisai is a power puncher. Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's a good fighter. He's an ex-world champion. He's beat some of the greatest fighters at those divisions. And Carlos Cuadras, he's a big dude, kind of a weight bully for like the smaller guys, but still big guy. But then he's got those 2 victories. But I think that El Gallo Estrada and even Chocolatito, they're just more skillful. So it's going to be like harder for Bam Rodriguez to take those angles. Because, he was kind of leaning on that shoulder thinking, okay, I'm going to get to the hand where if this dude's going to punch me hard, I'm going to wait till he throws that hand and then I'm going to take the angle. Then I'm going to fucking overwhelm him. With Gallo Estrada, he's a counter puncher. He's going to be watching what you're doing. He's going to read your intentions. So he's not going to be able to bait him in that easily because although Bam Rodriguez is experienced for a 22-year-old, Gallo Estrada is a way more seasoned and veteran.
That's right.
He's like the older man, world champion, and he's seen it all. Well, he's seen more, at least, than Bam Rodriguez.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, man. I mean, Estrada is a good combination puncher. He's got excellent stamina. He's been in there with everybody, all sorts of styles. I think Bam Rodriguez has his plate full at 112 too. He's got, somebody mentioned Sonny Edwards. He's got Nakatani too, that he could fight there. So, I mean, those are all excellent fights. I mean, you got a very talented guy with power and with balls who's willing to go for the kill and not back foot bitch. I think the future prospects look good for him with the amount of opposition. Oh, he's got Martinez too.
What about Martinez, Jerwin Ancajas, the dude that beat Jerwin Ancajas, the Puma.
Oh, yeah, that guy too,
Martinez, the Argentinian cat.
Yeah. Well, that's at 115 too, yeah. But I mean, yeah, that would be a fantastic fight. That would be a tremendous package right there, man. I also wanted to say something. When you look at guys like Jesse Bam Rodriguez, Artur Beterbiev, Naoya Inoue, those are the guys that I go and look at them and I go, man, I wouldn't want to fight them. You know what? In real life, that's what you used to have with Mike Tyson, Julio Cesar Chavez. Look at Chavez. Look at he's got his son walking around in high heels. Who knows what the heck he did to that guy mentally? He's a scary guy, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. When I look at guys like Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, I'm not scared of these guys. I mean, look at Shakur Stevenson. When he got into a street fight, couldn't even knock out a woman. And then when he finally tried to initiate the action himself, which he never does in the ring, he was slipping and sliding all over the place, scraping his hands on the pavement. It was ridiculous. It was like a Three Stooges movie. When I look at guys like Beterbiev, when I look at guys like Bam Rodriguez, Inoue, I go, fuck, those guys, if you box with them, you're going to hurt the next day. They're going to stop you. You're going to be huffing and puffing in there. If I lose a 12-round decision, the only thing that's getting bruised is my ego. Guys, what do you think about that? Have we been corrupted by watching all these back foot bitches and not enough punchers like Beterbiev and Inoue?
Yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoy someone who's going to willing to close the show. Remember how much crap Crawford got? He learned from it. Remember what he did against Postol? Mm-hmm. He cruised in the 12th. Man, he got crucified for that. I mean, he learned his lesson. Now he just goes out and he tries not to leave it in the judge's hands, and he realizes his popularity grew exponentially because of it. So, yeah, no, without a doubt, that's the type of fighter that I enjoy, you know what I mean, who's going to, get me out of there before the fucking lights come up in the theater.
That's right.
I saw, I think, actually, yeah, I saw Shakur Stevenson. He connected Valdez, because I think that fight went the distance. He connected Valdez with the good left hook to the liver. Because Shakur, he's a left-hander. He can punch hard to the body, because that's an organ. You could pierce the body easier, even if you cannot hit really that hard. If you know how to throw a punch to the stomach, you could hurt a fighter. And I know he did that because he grinned from ear to ear with that big fucking clown smile that he has. So if he's noticing, and I'm noticing on my TV, why is the dude going? Why isn't he going for the kill? Because we saw when Manny Pacquiao fought Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, he missed that. But look, if you're keen to the punch, the type of punch that you're throwing like downstairs, and you're reading the your opponent's reactions, Valdez was hurt. Why is Shakur not noticing those things, especially if that's his game? Intelligence, boxer. That's when you can actually go for the fucking kill. But he didn't see it.
They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the mental capacity, the courage to do it. It is what it is. And look, they're lucky they're living in 21st century America where they're going to be pulled up. They're going to be levitated towards a status of, they're going to try to paint them as stars, even though they're boring. And their fans don't even really encourage them. They don't pay for their fights. They just like to watch them on the internet and live vicariously through these fellas, but they don't really watch these fights. So I think that's partly why a lot of these guys, they don't even give it an effort, because I think they look at guys like Canelo, even a guy like Fernando Vargas. He's been inactive for about almost 20 years now. Whenever he goes, there's people mobbing him because he used to put on great shows and people respect that. And I think a lot of these fighters now, these boring fighters, they look at it. They're being told by their managers, "Yeah, you're the best. You're the best. Skills pay the bills, baby. Skills pay the bills." And then they go out in the streets and nobody knows who they are. They notice that. Believe me, they notice that. I got to give a shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says Sor Rungvisai looked bad. Partly Bam's doing, but the hand speed, slow, and terrible balance. Not the same guy that had a 50-50 fight with Chocolatito and then destroyed him. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. That could be. Yeah, I think it had something to do. Look, listen, 35 years old at that weight. He's no spring chicken. 35 years old, especially with the style that he's had. When you got a style like Sor Rungvisai, you're taking shots. That being said, I have to wonder who else could have done that to Sor Rungvisai. Which other 22-year-old could have done that? We gotta keep that in mind too. The context, a 22-year-old. So, I'm high on Bam Rodriguez, man. I'm on the bandwagon.
Nice.
These guys got
welcome aboard, brother.
These guys got skills. He's got balls. He's got power. He goes for the kill. Like Gonzalo said, Gonzalo, you've been in the military. Don't you know that you have to have the eye of the predator too, right? To see these things. Like, people think that because Shakur Stevens is a professional boxer, he's going to see it. If he doesn't have the eye of the tiger, he's not going to see it, right?
Oh yeah, because it's like when you're in the war, think of like, this is what I'm saying, maybe Usyk, your mind becomes more awake because you think that it's like your senses gets heightened. It's almost like you can almost read into the future. Why? No, it's not because you can read into the future, because even your hearing becomes like more acute, that you can, and your smell becomes more acute, that you can sense things a little bit quicker right before they happen. Therefore, you're seeing things with a certain sense of anticipation, and that makes you become alive. And sometimes when you think that you're going to get killed in this fight or flight, you need to do something, right?
Can I say a negative about Bam in his corner that I didn't like at all? Them using white gloves. Like, who's the fucking brainiac behind that? Like, that's, first off, he doesn't use punches gloves, which kind of surprises me. He uses those big pillowy fucking Everlast gloves. I don't know if he has hand problems. I'm kind of just surprised he doesn't use the Rays punching gloves. But why white? Like, that is just like, when you're up against the crowd in the background, right? Your lights above you and in there, you can pick up a white. What do you think in baseball? If there's even a nick on the ball, the referee will, the umpire, takes it and throws away, or the batter will complain. They want the brightest, whitest ball they could get, you know what I mean? It's just easy to see against the background of the crowd, especially. Like, you should have black gloves on. Just hides the glove a little more. It's easier to pick up. I know that's a very minor thing, and I'm being nitpicking, but I hate when I see a fighter wearing white gloves. That's just my
Jimmy, people in the chat are saying technically they were light pink, and that's the other thing that I wanted to say, the negative, because again, we're fair here. We look at the good and at the bad of any fighter. I didn't like the pink. I didn't like the pink shorts. I didn't like the hip hop music coming out. I mean, listen, it's you. I listen to all sorts of music, but you're coming out, you got to come out. It wasn't even hard hip hop, that degenerate gangster hip hop that people love to listen to. It was a degenerate gay hip hop. That's what it sounded like to me. That combined with the pink shorts, I don't know. I think
I didn't know they were pink, huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but is it true? Like back in the days, just real quick, that like in like the 1920s, there was like different standards. Now it's kind of like changed, because if you think it's pink, it's related to girls. But before, even if it was pink or blue, they didn't correlate it to like how they do nowadays, that it just means something because we're living by different standards today. I don't know. I'm not justified. I'm just saying.
Yeah, back in the day, they used to, from what I understand, back in the day when it was black and white television, one guy had to wear white shorts and the other guy black. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart because it was black and white television. I think that's the reason why they used to do it. Nowadays, since it's color TV, high definition, these guys wear all sorts of flashy stuff, sequins and whatever they call them. But real quick, man, I mean, that Bam Rodriguez, the pink. These guys listen to these podcasts, by the way, the representatives at least. They listen to the podcast and they listen. Even though, you might not think, you might think, we're a bunch of nobodies, which we are. We're just a bunch of assholes talking boxing. But let me tell you something. We're viewers. We're customers. We're paying customers. And when we complain enough about justified things, these people listen and they'll be sure to change it. So, yeah, man, Bam Rodriguez, the pink, the hip-hop music, the hippity-hop music, put that out the window. All right, do us a favor.
Well, I'm definitely going to ask. I know Steve talks to him on a regular, so I'll ask Steve to ask him. Say, what's up with the white gloves or the light gloves? You understand what I'm saying, right? It hides it better in the crowd with dark gloves. They blend into the crowd. Just you pick them up easy is all I'm saying. It's not like he needed much more of an advantage, but yes, I want to also say that the 35-year-old Sor Rungvisai didn't have the legs of a young man anymore, but it didn't diminish his power. That kid still hit. You could tell he could still crack, just in the way his body was absorbing the punches, and just the red marks on his arms where the punches were hitting him.
I can't stress it enough, man. When you go for the kill in a fight and you get all that aggression out, you left it all in the ring. You don't need to go after later on at a car wash and heckle a woman and then beat her up because she didn't respond to your advances. I mean, there's benefits to being an aggressive fighter inside the ring. You look at most of the aggressive fighters throughout history. They were happy outside the ring. Roberto Duran was a monster inside the ring. And with the exception of the Sugar Ray Leonard fight where he was vicious outside of the ring, he was always smiling, a cheesy smile ear to ear. That's the benefit of going for the kill. But when you're a noxious person and you don't fight inside the ring, guess what? When you're outside the ring, people look at you wrong. You start punching an Asian woman. You start punching women in the car wash. That's what it is. It turns them into. It's a criminal sort of style, I believe. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
And if you feel like that you're being the one that's chased and the other guy's the hunter, you start getting nervous, like the hourglass, and the time is ticking. Like Haney got hurt by Linares in the 10th. And going back to what I mentioned earlier, that's why Bam Rodriguez said, I was glad that I took him out then, because even you're getting tired. And if you're put in the position in the 9th or 10th round, like Haney was, and you get caught by the wrong punch, you could go down yourself. So it's like, don't play with the food. Keep that dude busy. Instead of safety first, it's in your face first. And do what you need to do to end the fight early. Because the more you play with your food and the clock is ticking and you feel like you're being the hunted and that dude's the fucking hunter, I'm just saying that shit is fucking, it gets to you, I think, as well.
That's right.
Yeah, and he did say too that he felt his power wane a little bit after the third round. Obviously, like I say, that's the best. Those 3 first rounds, that's when people's power is always at its height. It always seems to start to wane after the third round. But kid's talent to go.
Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, do you think Shakur and Haney feel the pressure to go for the kill? Running at the end of the Valdez fight was shameful. Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution. Well, if I may answer that question, I think Haney does try to please the fans. I mean, we saw him try to put the pressure on Linares. That didn't work, but at least he tried. I give him points for that. Shakur Stevenson, on the other hand, he doesn't care about the fans at all. He's the type of guy, when he's behind the scenes, he goes, I got to get mine. I got to get mine. No one's going to pay my bills, my medical bills when I retire. He's the guy, that type of mentality. And when people don't even want to watch him fight, then his fans come out and they start crying racism. You don't want to watch him because he's black. No, we don't want to watch him because he's boring. He's a criminal outside the ring. Sorry. I mean, we got high standards. We're sorry to have high standards. But Devin Haney, he's a guy that I do think he tried, but it just wasn't going to work out. And the other thing, like I mentioned before, I think Shakur Stevenson tries to put on pressure. He breaks his hand like he did 2 years ago. So no, he's not listening. He's not going to put the pressure anytime soon. He doesn't care. All he cares is about himself and walking. He already said it after the Nakatila fight. He said he got hit with one good punch. He said, I got hit hard. I didn't like it. I'll probably look good better the next time. That's what he said. So, you can't blame us for disliking him. I also want to talk about Bam Rodriguez. Like I said, we had Bam Rodriguez, we had Artur Beterbiev, Naoya Inoue. To me, these guys are real pound-for-pound fighters. They go in there with skills, power, no back foot bitching. I think that's what the sport needs. We need to, if people always talk about the next generation, well, we're not going to get a next generation of fans if we have guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, especially bad role models like Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, for example. Because people love to talk about Tank Davis. Well, he got the knockout. Yeah, he was getting outboxed by Rolly Ritardo. I'm sorry. If you're pound for pound, that shouldn't be happening. You should be going out there for the kill. Now, all these people that were talking about Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, sweet science, baby, sweet science. We in here. We up in here. They're not. They didn't talk about Beterbiev. They didn't talk about Inoue. And I just checked out some of these big LDBC channels. Oh boy. Let's go with 78 Sports TV. I think he's the fat guy. Okay. Check out his last couple of videos here. Arthur Beterbiev Joe Smith Jr. post reaction. Okay, so he did a Beterbiev video. 20 minutes, by the way. I bet you if he would have been Shakur Stevens or somebody else, he would have done a 2-hour video. He did a 2-hour video, though, the next day, almost 3-hour video, about dogfighting. I'm not kidding. I'm putting it up here on the street. Dogfighting. Then he's talking about Ruiz versus Ortiz. And then 2 days ago, Adrian Broner and Floyd Mayweather. I mean, that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about Jesse Bamber.
Well, he breeds fight dogs. Let's not. So he's that involved. He actually breeds it. So he's an inhumane human, anyways. Anybody would do that. Plus, he did time for pimping. That's what one of his federal charges were. He was pimping women. And they don't do that. They don't do that voluntarily. Usually, you track them into like being your girlfriend, and then you beat them up and string them out on drugs. They're some of the worst humans I've ever met when I worked at the Cant.
You're starting to see a pattern here of the people that root for Shakur Stevenson. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
You know what? Also, going back to the styles and what sometimes it's not pleasing. Okay, get on the back foot, big circles around the ring, safety first. Also, counter punchers. Counter punchers are really fucking boring the way they're fucking fighting. I'm not saying that little Charlo, okay, he's not good, yeah. But a lot of times you're just putting your gloves and you're waiting for that other motherfucker to make a mistake. And when he makes a mistake, you're the bigger dude. You're hurting them, and you're American. They're gonna side with you. And a lot of times, but then again, I'm saying that you don't do what you need to win, but you're less than exciting. And when people don't give you the respect that you fucking that you demand, that's the problem too. You're not letting your hands go. That happens with counter punchers as well.
Great
and
point.
Can I just say, too, as far as young people go, young guys coming up, I want to give up props because I think someone who will be in the same type of mold is Keyshawn Davis. So it isn't exclusively because, only, black guys are going to fight a certain way because there's Keyshawn Davis. I think there's a dude like Crawford who isn't going to fuck around. He sees you, he's got you a little dizzy. So isn't Boots. Boots will look to put you away, too. But in the youngest, so I just wanted to put that out there, too. I'm a little high on Davis.
But, Jimmy, the problem is, that's why I didn't even bring up Jermell Charlo and Errol Spence, because even if you do give them their props, these non-boxing fans, these black non-boxing fans who pretend to be boxing fans but not really boxing fans, they want you to slobber all over their dick. You can, you said about Bam Blah the Diggers, you said the good and you said the bad. With those guys, you can't do that. It's gotta be all the way in with good. If you point out something bad, why you bringing that up? Why you bringing that up? B, why you mad? It's not. So this is what they made me do. I can't even compliment them, so I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm talking about the guys. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Sorry.
Excellent point.
It's like the Pharisees. Their accents don't sound genuine. A lot of times, I'm a Mexican. When I speak about boxing, and this is what boxing. It's like it's alive in Mexico because the people are watching something, and when we comment, even if it's not in America, just in Mexico, dude. Hey, we're telling the word because we love the sport. I'm not saying that speaking for everybody, but a lot of times I come on these platforms, and I think it's like in this YouTube community, and I want to mention something about a black fighter to compliment him. Oh, they're looking at me like, why is he saying that? I'm just saying it because I fucking feel like it, because I'm being somewhat genuine, right? But it doesn't resonate with people even when you're being truthful.
That's right. You're right. You look at their face; they sound dejected when they have to praise a guy that's non-black. I mean, they're not real boxing fans, and I'm tired of having to try to be neutral here and trying to talk boxing. Look, listen, these fuckers want to ruin the sport and want to corrupt it. We're going right back at them, man. Fuck that. Speaking of that, let's go to other channels here that didn't even cover this, that pretend to be boxing fans and they don't even cover the fights. Let's go to Fanon here, who he got kicked out by the LDBC apparently for being crazy, which I thought being crazy meant you were part of the LDBC. But anyway, he's got a video about Errol Spence, trainer accused of blocking Terence Crawford. So again, that's all they keep talking about. Spence versus Crawford. 2 more weeks, guys. 2 more weeks. Shakur Stevenson blocked from the Gervonta Davis, blah, blah, blah. Oscar De La Hoya offers Gervonta. So again, no Bam Rodriguez fight. Nothing about Bam Rodriguez. Let's go to Boxing Ego. I think he's a Dominican guy who pretends to be Puerto Rican or half Puerto Rican. Jake Paul. He makes a video about Jake Paul. Again, another video about Spence Crawford. I'm telling you, they're just trying to get money out of their fans by making videos about Spence Crawford. 2 more weeks, guys. 3 videos about Spence Crawford. My goodness, not even a video on Bam Rodriguez. These are the so-called guys that respect the sweet science, fellas. And then you go to Trill
media.
And then
remember, they also said they're the new media, that they're replacing the old racist media. That's their claim to fame. That's the hashtag they use, new media. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, whether you're new media, which anytime someone's like that saying, I'm a new airline pilot because I can't get my airline license, my pilot's license, you know what I mean? No, you have to say that because you can't work, you don't have the talent or the ability or the wherewithal to become a part of the established media. Mm-hmm. And for the reasons, because they don't bother following the sport, because they are ideologues with an agenda. And it's sad.
mean, these are the guys that talk about racism in boxing. They don't even follow non-black fighters. I just showed you 4 of the biggest channels out there. They don't even follow black fighters. Look at this one. So this one's Trill Boxing. Anthony Joshua, he looked shook apparently. They made a whole video about that. Earl Spence Crawford again. 2 more videos about Spence Crawford. These motherfuckers can't stay away from that imaginary fight. And then the last video about Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. So again, when these people talk about, respecting boxing, again, they didn't cover the Chocolatito Martinez fight. They didn't cover, a lot of them didn't even cover the Beterbiev fight, Inoue fight, and now Bam Rodriguez fight. I think that's disgraceful.
And like, for instance, I was just on Twitter, right? And this guy, Scoon TV.
Okay,
and I guess he was.
Is that really
yes,
the guy's
I
name?
don't think you've seen him, but so this
Come
dude
on,
says he says yesterday that he tweeted out that why with Charlo and Haney becoming undisputed, how could people have Usyk pound for pound and not them if they're undisputed too? And somebody was like, well, are you serious, dude? Like, and he blamed racism for it, the reason why they have Usyk up in the top 3 and not them. And somebody pointed out, no, because their accomplishments aren't in the same stratosphere. And so did he learn from that? Did he say, oh, okay, well, I used my lack of knowledge on the sport and blamed racism for my lack of knowledge? Nope. He just doubled down instead and went after that dude, called him somebody toiling in his mediocrity.
There you go, man. Hey, shout out to Texas Bulldog for his contribution with the super chat. He says, everyone's pound for pound now. Nobody cares about 115 pounds BDA. Well, shout out to Texas Bulldog. But again, Texas Bulldog's the type of guy that I think he only enjoys Texas fighters. And if you only enjoy Texas fighters, why wouldn't you enjoy Bam Rodriguez? He's a Texas guy. And not for nothing, Texas Bulldog, but like what Rapid said, even a fat Bam Rodriguez, if Bam Rodriguez got fat and moved up to 135, I still think he goes rounds with Devin Haney. I don't think they can stop him. Same thing with Shakur Stevenson. They wouldn't even be able to stop a fat, short Bam Rodriguez. That's how good he is, and that's how much fire these other guys lack. They don't want to go for the kill. So shout out for Texas Bulldog, but that opinion, you gotta go watch.
I don't understand where he's coming from with that. Is he saying is that an excuse for why nobody covers it?
Hello, just let me say, if he thinks that way, I think he'd be much more comfortable watching Trill Boxing, 78 Sports. They got dog fighting there. He might be into that type of stuff. I don't know, but if you don't want to watch 115 pounders, this might not be the best show for you. That's all I want to say.
Because in the end of the day, it's weight classes. If you don't respect that weight class, what that means that you like men that are probably bigger. And it's not about liking fucking men or anything like that. Boxing, we just put it in categories because it's divisions, and these guys throw a lot of punches. Right, it's not about obsessing over the fucking the weight or the person. It's about the division and what that division means. Little guys throw a lot of punches.
Well, I mean, they talk about the little guys, blah blah blah, but then they enjoy guys like Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson who can't crack an egg. I mean, what's the deal here? You're not being real. Just be real about it. You like a guy. You root for guys because they look. Yeah.
What exactly is the small guys, the little guys? Because I see the LDBC doing backflips over Stephen Fulton. Doesn't he campaign at 122? That's just odd. I mean, so did they not realize he's only fighting at 122? I mean, it's just such a crack of fucking shit. If he was black, or if Inoue was a black American, the fucking LDBC would be building shrines to his image.
That's right. That's right. They want to listen. Like Gonzalo, I think Gonzalo hit the nail on the head there. They want they're size queens. They want the size, and they want to see that stretch out. They want to feel it growing. They want to feel it growing in their hands. That's what they want to. But I mean, listen, it's like I said, it's a double standard, man. You're talking to me about the little guys and how, as if that's a bad thing against them. Like they can crack, they're not physically imposing. But then you enjoy watching Sor Stevens and Devin Haney, guys who can crack an egg. Come on, you're not being genuine here. You're being disingenuous, and we see right through it. I've done too much LSD throughout my life and too many shrooms. I can see through people now, and I can see the reflections. Shout out to Jonathan Lambarena, by the way, for his contribution with the super chat, and he says, "Boxing Ego is a failed actor. 78 is a criminal. Drew Titan is a former cop. Fanon is a senile and a lawyer. Aki is a fake Muslim." Well, there you go. Jonathan Lambarena, just breaking it down. These are the people that make you root for Sor Stevenson, another degenerate whose family members start riots after a fight. And shout out to the Logical Man, becoming a BDA loyal member. Shout out to Logical Man. Check out his channel, by the way. The Logical Man. He deals with social issues, particularly male-female relations, and he breaks it all down. And hopefully we can do a second show on the Second Renaissance. Oh yeah, check out that Second Renaissance interview we did with the Logical Man. Yeah,
I like Logical Man. He, to his name credit, he brings the logic. He likes to deal in facts, and I always respect that.
Absolutely, that's what we need. Good people here to spread the BDA gospel, and we're on the true path of the Crimson Cross, which is being written with action. Not with words, not with good words, deeds. I'm talking action here. Well, listen, we're going to be opening up
what is that, BD? Feet thing works? That's the way it works. It's like you're paddling a boat. No, you cannot just have like works. It's action and the faith. It's like rowing with two paddles, because if not, you're just going to go in circles. No.
Gonzalo, you said it better than I could have, man.
And I also want to say, too, the reason why promoters back in the day, the reason why heavyweights are always they have the power to knock people out. Of course, that has something to do with it. But even in back in the day, it was because on television, little guys in the ring, they were just harder to see. And because they moved so much quicker than the bigger guys, television didn't pick it up back in the day. Like in the 30s and 50s, it was hard. It just, you know what I mean? So it was a hard sell to the general public. So I don't know if that's like a hangover with that, but to say, how can you claim to be a boxing fan and then see somebody, and just because he's on the shorter side or lighter, like you hold that against him? Because at the end of the day, it's his boxing abilities and what he does in the ring. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's disingenuous to say, oh, well, he's 115, so therefore nobody cares.
But Jimmy, that's an excellent point. It goes back to what I said. I mean, they love to talk about the size and all that, but then they praise sweet science, hit, not get hit. So which one is it? Do you want to see action and physically imposing people, or do you want to see the sweet science? Right, Jimmy? Doesn't that sound like a bit of a contradiction there from their part?
Of course.
I'm telling you.
Hypocrisy and contradiction is, that's their mainstay.
That's their foundation. And that's why the house will not stand. The structure cannot stand. The center cannot hold when it's being propped up by lies. And I think Gonzalo said it better than I could, talking about the paddling in the boat there. Hey, shout out to Rex, by the way. Shout out to Rex for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, Cool Boy Crip is going to duck Akhmadaliev. Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know if... Shout out to Rex. I don't know if he's going to dock him, but it's certainly the fight we want. I think they're going to try to make a Figueroa rematch, because that's easier to do. They're both in-house fighters for the PBC, whereas Akhmadaliev, he's fighting over at the Zone. We're going to talk about Akhmadaliev, by the way. The phone lines are open, by the way, if you want to call in. And real quick, shout out to Texas Bulldog. He says, show me Bam beat Brandon Figueroa in the pocket. Well, they haven't fought yet. How am I supposed to show you that? But shout out to Texas Bulldog. Always appreciate his contribution with the Super Chat and his viewership. All right, like I said, phone lines are open. So if you want to call in, let us know about Bam Rodriguez. In the meantime, let's talk about... well, actually, are you guys familiar with Nakatani? The guy that's number one at 112, where Bam Rodriguez should be fighting at? Any of you guys familiar with him?
Heard his name today, but it's not the same Nakatani. It's not the one that fought Shakur, obviously. That's like 3 divisions north or 4. No, I don't know who that guy is.
Well, he's a tall dude. He's a southpaw. He can crack. But I think defensively, he's not as good as Bam Rodriguez, but it would still be a heck of a fight, man. And he is the number one guy. Then, like I said, you got Ray Martinez. I mean, Julio Martinez in there. He's another power punch. And then you got Sonny Edwards, very elusive guy. He could pose problems for Bam Rodriguez just based off that style alone. So there's a plethora of fights to be made there for Bam Rodriguez. Now, I want to talk a little bit about MJ, Akhmadaliev, because we were talking about Fulton. Well, Akhmadaliev fought the very tough Ronnie Rios, who was going through a bit of a renaissance. And Akhmadaliev hurt him to the body in the middle of the fight. Then it seemed like he was just going to be content to stay back and maybe, dare I say, back foot bitch it. But then he went for the kill later on. Guys, what do you think about Akhmadaliev? He already beat Daniel Roman, same as Fulton. What do you guys think? How would he do against Fulton?
Well, he's got options, and White Rep, and we were talking about it a little bit. And looking at this guy, he can box, but he's got power too. When he was throwing the white hooks, he was throwing wide, but it was on purpose. He was like swinging a baseball bat. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the lead hand. I don't know if he's converted or not, but when we landed that lead hand wide and like hooking, he was almost like swinging a fucking bat, and that ended up hurting Rios. And I don't know if it's because he hurt his trail hand, because I think he hurt his hand somewhere along the line. No, but the dude can crack with the lead hand, and if he hurt his trail hand, he could probably crack with that one too, obviously, because you're turning it over from afar, and it's your power punch. Okay, but anyways, so he can do that. He can punch, but he can also box, and he does a little bit of the changing of the angles thing too, like the Ukrainian style of boxing. So when you got options and you don't just when you're not that guy that can crack, oh man, you pick your poison. I can box you and I can punch, or I can mix it up. But it depends on the style and the game plan. Means how successful he can be against a guy like Fulton, because we know that dude is gonna get on the back foot, right? That's for damn sure.
Gonzalez already making a good prediction there, yeah.
And Fulton, actually, right now, if they were to fight, say, next, I'd probably go with Fulton. I think Fulton is smoother and just has more athleticism. MJ's a little stiff, a little robotic. I just think talent-wise, head-to-head, I would probably right now go with Fulton to edge out a decision.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you. First of all, like Gonzalo said, that somebody did say that MJ hurt his hand, and he still went for the kill. I mean, we talk about Tank Davis. Oh, he hurt his hand, so he had to back foot bitch it. That's the excuse. This guy hurt his hand and he went for it. So, like I said, there's levels to this game. There's people out there that are actually trying to be pound for pound.
He's more exciting. I would prefer to see his fights because it's guaranteed gore. At least he's going to attempt it. But just overall, depends on where they also had it too. You know what I mean? But
well, that's the thing. People are talking about Inoue versus Fulton. Let me tell you, Fulton's got his plate full here with MJ. Unfortunately, I mean, what are the chances that fight happens, seeing as how MJ's over there with, I think he's with Matchroom or somebody, and Fulton is with the PBC. Anybody want to speak?
0 to none.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 0 to none. I mean, has the PBC shown any, unless they're mandated, unless it's forced, and the fighters don't seem to want to force that shit over there because they could. I mean, Davis came out and said out of his own mouth, I've never even asked about fighting any of these other guys. To the guy who was talking to him, Lomachenko, Haney, any of them. Nope, never even asked about them. So that goes to show you how much he wants to really test himself.
Interesting.
Fraud.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? The BBC dude, the Heyman. Just real quick, when he came into the scene like a long time ago, his first fighter was Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest told Al Heyman, I could beat Shane Mosley. But the dude didn't believe, I think, and he probably invested, or when he got into the game, it was whether sink or swim as a promoter or advisor. But then, Vernon Forrest kept his promise. He beat Shane Mosley. And ever since, I think that this dude don't want to fucking like take big risks because he doesn't have a faith that if his fighter loses, that he's not going to make the money. He's not going to be like a successful. So that's why they've been taking all these baby steps. Al Heyman, kind of like ruining the sport, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's one good point. I mean, that's another good point, rather, about what you're talking about, the business of boxing, because Mayweather started the whole TBE, protect your O. You know, they got to protect that O, which is, I think, I want to get Freudian here, but I think it's got something to do with like the asshole or something. I think they're hung up on that. And they're all obsessed with the undefeated record. With Crawford, Canelo, they're coming in, they started the undisputed thing. which I dislike a little bit because I don't like the alphabet organizations, but it's all about getting all the belts, and that seemed to really light a fire under a lot of these people's asses. And a lot of these fighters now, they don't care about the losses anymore. It's about having a great resume. Listen, I want to see a fighter with losses on his record, because that lets me know he's been through some shit and he's been through adversity and he could come back from adversity. These guys with the O, I don't know how they're going to react to a loss. I mean, just look at Teofimo Lopez. He lost his O and he hasn't fought since, and he seems to be going crazy. He's having mental breakdowns over it. So, and by the way, look at Shakur Stevens. He was bawling like a little kid after he lost. So just imagine how these guys are going to act once they lose that zero. And I want to see guys who got. I want to see. It's like when you look at a soldier who's got scars. You go, you know what? I wanna hire that guy as a mercenary because I know he's been through combat. Yep. A guy with a fucking baby face like a Brandon Figueroa as a soldier. I'm not gonna hire that guy.
Yeah, it's like I think the real O's that count, and I know that a lot of people say Chavez, he fought a lot of taxi cab drivers. No, but he fought like like 2 times a month, and he learned on the job when he was 15. The fighters that keep the most are the dudes that got the tough chins. When they got the generational fucking chin that they're dwelling inside the pocket, and they're discovering things about themselves. Oh, I don't want to get punched, but if I do, it's okay. Let me learn how to fucking, maybe next time I slip that punch, or let me see if I find an opening when I'm on the inside that I believe in my chin and it makes me feel comfortable fighting on the inside. It doesn't mean that it always has to be like that. But when you're protecting an O against a fighter that's barely coming up, how experienced or how seasoned is he? But he could be very athletic and he doesn't want to engage. And it's always like keeping his safety first. And I'm not saying that if you don't have quick reflexes and you could get to the target first, that you can protect that O. But sometimes it's almost just like you're fucking fighting scared. And when you're fighting scared, not even your trainers know how good you are.
That's right.
Therefore, later you get discovered, whether you already stole money from the fucking public because you ended up being a fucking hype job. Like Chris Colbert, because he's pretty good, but at the same time, you could be good at something, but if you're not the complete package, like maybe a Gennady Golovkin, they got 2 things, power and a chin. That dude ain't going away. He could certainly not be the quickest dude and still be around. But the chin is a very important thing, because I'm not saying take punches, but at least learn what type of chin you have to be able to fight sometimes inside the pocket and discover who you are. But they don't even know who they are. That's the problem. Fighters. Excuse me.
Yeah, you're right, Gonzalo. You're absolutely right, man. It's and that's why a lot of these Americans, they're not popular. I'm sorry to say, man. It's because they're not giving it their all. They're obsessed with that. Oh, they'll do. I've heard that from certain gyms there and certain trainers and all that in America. It's like, you got to do whatever you got to do to win. Meaning, you got to cheat, you got to hold, you got to punch in the balls, you got to elbow, headbutt. And I'm thinking, if you really got to do that, that means you can't beat the other guy fair and square. That means you're not the better boxer. And that's why a lot of these guys aren't popular, because nobody wants to see this type of fight. I mean, the black fans, they'll watch it on the internet just to because they're living vicariously through them, but they're not paying for it. They're not showing up to fights to get their autographs and all that. So they can't get popular. They really cannot get popular. That's why when you're dealing with fights now, you should really keep them local. Like, for example, Charlo should fight nowhere else but in Texas. Same thing with Spence. If Spence and Crawford ever fight, which at this point seems unlikely, they shouldn't even hold it in Vegas, man. They should do it in fucking Texas, where they're going to get a big... But of course, Crawford's not going to want that. He's probably going to want a neutral place. Or maybe even he'll try to get Nebraska or whatever he's from. But
plus, it's the site fee, because they'll be demanding so much money, they're going to have to optimize the site fee. And nobody's going to pay them the way Vegas would. That's why it always ends up there, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Well, let's go to a couple of phone calls here. They're piling up, so let's get down to it. Let's go to... please make your points succinct and concise, because we do have a lot of phone calls. Let's go to... Hold on a second. Who we got here? 510. You're on the air. 510. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, all. Good morning, BDA.
What's up, man?
I hope everybody liked the fight yesterday. I know I sure did, being that, Sor Rungvisai envisioned the flyweight and super flyweight. He's going to be a legend, And for Bam to step up, not only his second fight in the division, but this is his first title defense in which he could have, and let alone in months after fighting Quadras. this title defense could have simply been a keep busy fight with some other guy. But, you know, I think that was part of the WBC, which they had mandated mandated Sor Rungvisai to be first runner-up or something. But that leads me to believe, like, where is this going at the end of the division? Because we know that for the franchise and the regular WBC title, it's hard to get them to fight because the only time we've seen that is literally just this couple weeks ago with Haney and Cambozos. And that was literally like a cornered fight. So it leads me to, you know, to question, like, where is this going? On top of that, I just want to reiterate BDA's comment about, like, you know, the hypocrisy of these LDBC guys saying that, oh, well, nobody wants to look at the little guys. And, like, aren't 135-pounders and 140-pounders little guys? You know what I mean?
They're little
to me. It's just not fair. It's just not fair saying, well, these little guys, nobody wants to watch them, but you'd rather watch Gervonta Davis, because I know a little guy that usually stops all, if not most, of his opponents, which is Inoue. And they talk so much shit about Inoue being that, oh, well, he only fights in Japan. Well, these motherfuckers only fight in the U.S.
That's right. That's an excellent point right there, man. I mean, Nakatani, the guy that could potentially fight Rodriguez next, he's fought in the United States. These guys, they don't change. And then when they do it for the first and only time in their lives, like Devin Haney, they want us to slobber their dick. Nah, fuck them. I'm actually going to criticize those guys, even if they do it well, because you know what? They don't deserve, their fans have really turned us off, man. They don't deserve our praise. 510, excellent call. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Nothing, just God bless you guys. It's the Lord's Day, and, you know, we're trying to be the best man we can.
That's right. Very well said. We're on the true path of the Crimson Cross. All right, 510, thank you for calling in. Call back next time. Take it easy. It's the day of the Lord. He said it very well. Let's go. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out, and it takes you nothing but 2 seconds. All right, let's go with it. 650, you're on the air. 650, what's on your mind?
What's up with Julio Cesar Martinez, dude? That's like the third time he's dropped out of a fight.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that from a Mexican in a while, dude. I don't know what the fuck's up with him. But and I like that there is no robbery in Baja. I don't know if you caught Edwin Soto. Did you see that fight last night?
No, that was on ESPN, right?
Yeah, I caught some.
Yeah. It was
yeah.
It was cool because it was special. It was
Oh, go ahead, caller.
Yeah, no, it was cool because, you know, I thought he was going to get robbed, but the knockdown saved him. They tried to rob him. He got the knockdown in the 12th, and then he won the fight. Bam was really impressive. I almost want to put him on my top pound for pound. And I'm going to stop on MJ, the other dude that fought on the undercard. I'm going to stop betting against Eastern Europeans because he looked really good. And like Stephen Fulton, I think if MJ and Stephen Fulton were to fight, I'd put my money on MJ just because I think, from that side of the world, we're seeing better fighters than American fighters right now in general. I don't know. And the size thing, I know you said the size in the ring and like LDBC doesn't like smaller fighters. When I'm watching, like last night, Sor Rungvisai versus Bam, I didn't notice his size at all. Like, you're fixated on the fight. Like, Sor Rungvisai looks pretty big. Like, you can see how big the guy is. I'm not thinking these guys are 115 pounders. Like, I really enjoyed that fight. And Tank is a midget. I mean, they love Tank. Tank's a small ass dude. I know he fights at a bigger weight, but
they're a bunch of size queens. Is what they are. They're size queens. That's what they are, man.
He's right. Tank's only 5'4". I mean, Bam's taller than him.
They're obsessed with size.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the type of people. They're the type of people that reply to the emails when they get the email about the pill that's going to make you larger. They're the idiots that actually reply to that because they actually want to get to it. They're size queens, and I can't stress it enough. Caller, anything else you want to say, man?
Well, one thing to the caller, I'm going to say something.
One thing, I know you mentioned in the past that you mentioned someone said something about Tyson Fury and like Qatar and Saudi Arabia. That was actually me, and the reason I really do think that fight's going to happen is because Saudi Arabia already said that they have 2 fights lined up, and they want the winner of Usyk Joshua to fight Fury, and I know it's going to happen because they want to take the play away from the World Cup. And because of everything that's going on with the war in Yemen right now and everything else, it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen.
You know what? I think I mentioned you in another episode or in another podcast that you were the one that said, that they have this rivalry between these states there in Arabia. They, since Qatar has a World Cup.
Well, there's a war going on right now.
Absolutely, man. They're fucking
there's
jealous.
There's a war going on right now between the two, so.
They're jealous Nancy's is what they are. All right, well, listen, 650. Thank you for calling in. Great facts dropped. I'll always learn a lot from you, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy,
bro.
Gonzalo, you want to say something about that? Or about the...
Oh, just real quick, I think Dre Martinez couldn't make the weight, and Eddie Reynoso told him in his ear, hey, just tell him you got the COVID again.
You know what? I think we're going to have to revoke his Mexican card then. Because he's been dropping out way too much. Especially when we got guys like Bam Rodriguez really laying on the show. We've got enough of those. We'll give Martinez to the LDBC. They could use an entertaining fighter who actually punches and fights with balls. Well,
isn't that the perfect excuse, BD? Hey, just tell him we got the COVID.
Rios had a history of that. I think 3 times, or at least twice he missed weight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so, man.
But he came in shape last night. I thought, you know what I mean. He looked good. I mean, in shape. He was. He gave himself a good showing.
Yeah, man. I mean, he tried. He was just outgunned. And I want to talk more about that Akhmadaliev Fulton fight because I want to touch on what Jimmy said and what the callers said earlier about the potential matchup. Shout out to Texas Bulldog for his contribution to the super chat. He says, "Stop it. Compare Tank's numbers to Bam's if you want to." What numbers? Oh, now we're talking about box office? I mean, I thought we were talking about skills, pay the bills, and all that, and size. Now it's about the numbers. I mean, who cares about the numbers?
With the punch stats, he's 66%, Jimmy, the connect rate. Dan Rodriguez. Exactly. That's pretty high, no? 66% power punch connected.
And we could talk about Tank's numbers when he only had 16 fights. Oh, that's right. He wasn't on television then. He was still in... He was still at the Elks, beating up guys with 22 losses. I mean, let's just be honest. You want to bring up that? Let's talk about that in 10, 15 more fights. You know what I mean? Let's give him some leeway. I think this kid is going to become the face of Mexican boxing. I really do. He's that talented. And if he moves up in weight too. I mean, I don't think anybody at 115 is going to beat him. I'm going to be honest. Nobody at 115. He beats everybody at 115. I'll say that. With total confidence.
You might be getting a little bit carried away, but I'm going to allow it.
No, I'm just in my opinion. I think he beats both Estrada and he beats Chocolatito. Chocolatito because of his age. He's a young man. You know what I mean? That makes a big difference in them young legs. And his confidence right now is huge. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you add that. I'm saying at 115, I think he'd start maybe running into problems. It's going to be one of the situations like Lomachenko. He's going to have to fighting divisions he doesn't belong in to catch his first L. Like, I don't think he'll catch an L until we see him at 118, maybe 122.
That's right. Absolutely, man. You're absolutely right about that. Shout out to Texas Bulldog for another contribution with the Super. He's feeling very generous today. He says, skills pay the bills, but y'all reject Haney's. Well, what I'm doing is we're comparing him to the actual pound-for-pound guys, the cream of the crop, guys like Beterbiev, Inoue, Bam Rodriguez, Lomachenko, Usyk, guys who bring skills, power, drama, action, and excitement. Those guys, I mean, there's levels, right? There's levels, there's journeymen, then you got gatekeepers, you got contenders, and you got champions, you got pound-for-pound guys, and then within the pound-for-pound, you have levels. So we're just comparing the top cream of the crop to guys like Haney and Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, guys who back foot bitch, guys who don't care about the fans. That's what we're talking about. And I know the fans can't handle it sometimes, but it's all in good nature. It's all in good fun, and it's educational. Go ahead, Jimmy. Yes, you want?
Well, I was going to say just to that point, kind of like the kid from Golden Boy, the 168 or whatever, Munguia. Isn't an overly skilled dude, but one thing he's going to do is make an exciting fight. He's never going to be in a boring fight. So
that's right. You're absolutely right. I'm right there with you, Jimmy. Right there with you, man. Shout out to Rex for his contribution with the super chat. He says Davis looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid. I've seen the meme there. He looks like the Cabbage Patch Kid. I don't have the picture here with me now, man. But when he's not fighting, man, in between fights, he tends to get a little portly. If you know what I mean. A little bit big there. And that's what these people like, apparently. They like the size. They're size queens. They like it when their fighters get nice and plump. Let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Let's go to 510. 510, you're on the air. 510, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? It's me again. I just had another thing that I just had to get out. Is Bucho from Philippines? Or is that Gonzalo?
No. Gonzalo. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Gonzalo. You said.
I'm transracial.
Well, since Bucho
I live
got
in the Philippines. I live in the Philippines, but I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican-American.
There you go.
Okay.
and anybody works
so
for the company,
I just had,
they
like, a
don't
quick
say where they're
question.
from.
I just had a quick question. So, how close are these LDBC fans to Casemiro fans? How similar are they in your eyes, Bucho?
Gonzalo, I don't think it exists. It's like if you go to Mexico, the LDBC don't exist in the Mexican radio waves. Not that I could like really understand like the Filipino podcast or even that I watch them, but just based on the question you asked me, I can answer pretty safely that they don't exist in this lifestyle, in this realm of the world. It's just like
right,
Mexico.
man. Yeah. Well, 510.
The reason why I asked the question is because I see so many like topics like when Inoue is brought up in terms of like title fights, Casemiro fans just pop up out of nowhere and say, "Oh, little turtle boy, he's gonna lose." And like it's kind of like kind of if you bring up any like say any or future opponent of Gervante's or some or possible matchups, it's always like the same Gervonta fans or LDBC fans, pro PBC fans who come and say, "Well, he ain't fighting nobody. He's not a true fan. He's gonna get knocked out." And that's their only voice of reasoning per se in their opinions, or like that's their only argument. And it seems very similar to me when it comes to like Casemiro fans. So that's the only reason why I was asking.
Well, it's a good point. It's a good connection there. Well, listen, 510, we got to get
He's
to know.
also a PBC fighter, which might have something to do with it, right? Casemiro, he's a PBC fighter.
Exactly,
He's led by Knucklehead, Sean.
Yeah, you got a good point there, Jimmy. All right, well, listen, caller, we got to move on to another phone call. Thank you for calling in. We'll catch you on the next one, man. Take it easy. Stay frosty out there. All right, man. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 718. 718, you're on the air. 718, what's on your mind?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. What's on your mind?
Hello? Yeah, I was listening to how you guys were really coming for the Devin Haney and it was Devin Haney and Charlo. Well, if you look at Charlo's division, anyone and everyone in that division could beat each other. So that division is deeper than the division that Alexander Usyk just finished winning his cruiserweight title. But yet somehow he never gets mentioned in the pound-for-pound list. Now, he's been through fire. You just said earlier you like to see a fighter who loses. He lost, came back, avenged his loss. He had a real tough fight with that for Undisputed. A draw, which I felt he lost, but they gave him a draw. He came back, he fought. That guy deserves to be on the pound-for-pound list. He's been through the fire. But no one wants to put him on the pound-for-pound list.
Well, can I say Jimmy, let me handle this.
Yep. Wait, hold on. Yep. I also want to put something. You guys want to come for Devin Haney. He's in one of the most stacked divisions there is. You have so many stars. You have who's that guy? Ryan, who's fought nobody. You have Lomachenko, who's really he's the goods. But somehow this guy seems to be the one with all the belts. Then you also have the other guy who was really beating a lot of people, was looking really good just last year, Lopez. So you have stars in that division, but somehow he's on top. But yet he still can't he can't get the respect he deserves. Come on now, you're being just as biased as those stupid I should say.
Well, can we reply? Caller, can we reply? Can we reply? Caller, can we reply? Because you're just repeating the same stuff over and over. First of all, we never mentioned Charlo. I think now you're straw manning here because we never criticized Charlo about him not being on the pound for pound list. As for as for Devin Haney, you're telling me, well, there's all these fighters out there. He hasn't fought them yet. You can't start talking to me about how he's pound for pound when he hasn't fought them yet. He fought Cambosos. And everyone that was coming in here, myself included, said that Haney was going to win. In fact, a lot of Devin Haney fans were saying that he was going to win because Kambosos was overrated. He was a one-hit wonder. So how much credit do you really want me to give Devin Haney for doing that? And number 3, how much credit do you want me to give him when he's playing it safe, jabbing, not trying to go for the kill, and clinching his way to a decision? What we're doing here, caller, and I understand your frustration, but what we're doing here is we're comparing the cream of the crop here. We're talking about the high standards of being in the top 3, top 5 pound-for-pound list. Talking about guys like Beterbiev, Inoue, Bam Rodriguez, Lomachenko, Uzi, guys that go for the kill, guys that aim to entertain, because we're paying customers, and I'm tired of having to pretend, sit here and pretend that the sweet science, that's what it's all about, and skills pay the bills, and pot-shotting and clinching your way to a decision, that's fine. Listen, if you want to pot shot and clinch your way to a decision, that's fine. But then there's levels to this, and the guys that actually go for knockouts with skill, those are the guys that are at the top of the pound-for-pound list, and we're well within our rights to be criticizing backfoot bitches.
And Mr. VDA, can I just make one point real quick?
Well, hold on. Jimmy, go ahead, Jimmy, yeah.
Caller, let me just ask you. You made a comment, you said Charlo's, you compared it to Usyk's, that it was a tougher division at 154, or that his run to Undisputed was tougher than Usyk's at Cruiserweight. That's just objectively ridiculous. I mean, let's just be honest. Look at who he fought, the level of competition. Do you even know who he beat? John Jackson for one belt, a complete unknown whose next fight was against the guy making his pro debut. Let me finish. And then after that, he fought Rosario, and that win every time Rosario fights looks worse and worse. Whereas Usyk took out top end guys who can punch and crack. I mean, it's ridiculous to say that his run was as tough as Usyk's. Gonzalo, finish it.
And they were undefeated. That tournament was so good that they did another tournament the next year with the guys that lost. And that wasn't like a year ago. That was like 3 years ago.
I can't hear you,
He's fighting in heavyweight now. Why are you looking at what Crawford's doing? What Usyk is doing at Cruiser? That dude's been a heavyweight for like 3 years now. Anyways, that's it.
That's a good point. Well, caller, go ahead.
I didn't hear what he said. Repeat what he said.
Oh, well, he's not. He's not going to repeat because I think you can't hear him.
Okay.
Anyway, but listen, caller, go ahead. What did you want to say about, I don't know, last comments, because we got to move on to another phone call.
All right, but a lot of the stuff you're saying, you sound just as pig-headed as those guys. Because I stopped listening to them because I was realizing they're extremely biased, and you guys are just as biased. Now, you were saying, you were also saying a guy's not good if he actually does holds, clinch, throws elbows and stuff like that. I don't know if you saw the Fury fight when Fury fought Cunningham. Cunningham was outboxing him, and Fury changed up his whole style to whip his ass and knock him out. So it's about winning the freaking fight. If you know how to win the fight and the other guy can't adjust to it, that's what it's about. It's not about race. And also the other thing you said about small fighters, no one wants to watch a guy that they're not physically intimidated by. If you're 5'4" and you're a little right, I don't care how it comes down to, you're not going to fear the guy. One of my favorite skilled fighters I liked watching was Prince Nassim. But at the reality of it, when I saw him in the physical form, I was like, whoa, this guy is tiny. And the young ladies that were with me were like, this guy, I think I could beat him. And I was like, yeah, you can't. But in reality, people don't want to watch guys that are that tiny. And also, let me just say this one simple fact. I just want to say this one thing. While a lot of people are not into the smaller weights, the smaller weights only have two demographics, Asians and Hispanics. They very rarely have any Eastern Europeans that are good, and it's very rarely do you have any Africans, people of African descent.
Caller, I gotta tell you, caller, I gotta tell you, you're sounding very pig-headed because you're saying essentially since they don't look like you don't want to watch them fight.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what you said. You just said it. You just said it. You just said it. You said the reason why. You just said that the reason why you don't want to watch him. You just said that the reason why you don't want to watch him is because they don't look like you. You're a racist. You're a racist. You're a racist. You're a racist. Let me say, hold on. Jimmy, let me just say something else. And let me just say something else because he brought up a lot of points. The Tyson Fury thing. That Tyson Fury thing. I criticized Tyson Fury for the way he fought. In fact, we criticized him not only for the Cunningham fight. Jimmy and Gonzalo criticized him for how bad he looked against Wilder, especially in the third fight. More sloppy than in the second. A lot of clinching, a lot of holding. And if a guy's cheating to get a win, that means he's not the best boxer. He had to cheat. If he didn't cheat, would he have won? You can't answer that question because a lot of these guys end up cheating. So, and the other thing is, you're telling me hold on, let me finish. And you're saying that these fighters, they're not physically imposing. Well, guess what? That's what I said. You're speaking to my point. Now you're on my level. You're saying that you're not intimidated by guys like Inu and all that. Well, I'm not intimidated by guys like Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. Have you seen Shakur Stevenson in a street fight, by the way? Couldn't even knock out a woman. He was slipping and sliding when he tried to attack. He was falling on the pavement. I'm not scared about that. So I'm right there. I said Shakur Stevenson. I said you got to start listening. So listen, my thing is you got to stop being pig-headed. Hold on. Oh my God. You got to stop being pig-headed. You got to really watch all other types of fighters, even if they don't share the same skin color. Even if they don't share the same skin color as you got to respect their power. You got to respect their balls, and that's what you got to do. So, caller, I hope you learn a thing or two here. I hope you learn a thing or two here. You got to call back next time. You got to call back.
I'm gonna call back on Friday.
Complain about you are on the same level as them because all you're talking about is people that look like you, and you talk about cheating. Look, if you want to talk about cheating, you got to also look at guys like you say Tyson Fury's not good because he cheated. Are you still there?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh yeah. We didn't hang up.
All right. So you're talking about fighters that cheat, right? So Tyson Fury's not that good. Well, then if that's the case, then you can't consider Canelo because he failed the drug test several times.
I've said that. I've said that before.
You can't hold this
several times
and not hold the same thing with else guy.
We've said that before, caller. See, but hold on, caller. We've said that before. I don't think you've listened to the show before. I think I think this is what happened. You didn't like us. But hold on, caller. You gotta calm down, caller. You gotta calm down. You're getting very emotional. I think what happened here was you got angry because we dared to criticize Shakur Stevens and Devin Haney. We brought facts. We actually broke it down why these guys aren't as good as some of the other fighters. And you got mad. That's the first time you've been listening to the show. You don't hear us criticize Tyson Fury. You don't hear us criticize. You don't hear us. Well, it sounds like it. It sounds like it, man. It sounds like it because everything you've said, you don't criticize Tyson Fury. We have to criticize Tyson Fury. We've criticized Canelo Alvarez. Now, let's stick to the points here. The point is, everything you said about not respecting fighters, then that's why I can't respect guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney because they're not physically imposing. I'm not afraid of them. Would you agree with that or not?
I would agree with that.
There you go. We're on the same page then. I don't understand what we're arguing about.
And did I miss something? When did Canelo fail 2 other drug tests? I only know of one.
Hear me out. Hear my point. This was my point. My point is, basically past 126, anything lower than 126, it's the same demographic. It's only 2 ethnic groups there. If you want people to pay attention to a boxer, he has to go through a gauntlet of different styles. He's not going through a gauntlet of different styles. That's why most the casual fans start looking at boxing at welterweight because you can see those guys go through basically every single style that's possible to fight. They go against that straight come forward style. They go against the guy who's slick. They go against the guy who's just a counterpuncher. They see more style. So it's easier for someone to acknowledge that guy as a pound for pound guy versus someone who's basically fighting guys who are just coming forward, throwing a lot of shots.
I would suggest
people follow people that show on TV.
Yeah, caller, I would suggest.
Say it again.
The pound for pound thing got started exactly for these reasons to include the smaller guys, pound for pound.
That's right.
I know. I agree with you, and that's what it's about. And that's why ESPN has nothing but have 2 heavyweights on there, which makes no sense.
Well, caller, I think you need to expand your horizons and you need to watch more of the lower weight classes, even if they don't look like you. I'm telling you, there's some good fighters there, man. You're gonna really be entertained if you give it a chance. But if you just watch guys, I'm sorry, I can't hear you because I can't hear you because you're talking over me. We can't talk over each other. We can't talk at the same time. We can't talk at the same. We can't talk at the same time. Excuse me. We can't talk at the same time. We can sing at the same time at the choir of the BDA Gospel, but we can't talk at the same time. So call
Crimson Cross.
We're gonna the Crimson Cross. Yeah, thank you. Well, we're gonna move on to another phone call. We gotta call. Oh, jeez, Louise, this guy just. I
just want to say one last thing. You believe just because a fighter doesn't look like me, I don't follow him. You did wrong. And
you said that. That's what you said. Anyway, all right. Well, listen, good call there, 718. Call back next time.
That's not what I said. That's not what...
All right. Thank you for your call. Call back. Call in Friday. It's a very open lines Friday. Anybody can bring it. All right, let's go to another. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Try to watch other boxers, people. You're gonna enjoy them. Just if you expand your horizons, you actually watch fighters that don't look like you. You're gonna be very surprised. Diversity is our greatest strength. That's what President Joe Biden said, and I agree with that. All right, let's go to the.
Get aggressive. Hit the like and get aggressive with it. Don't
That's
sit
right.
back. Hit the motherfucking like. Be aggressive, like a fucking aggressive fighter.
There you go. Let's start healing. Let's start building bridges. Let's go to another phone call, man. Let's go to 346. 346. You're on the air. 346. What's on your mind?
Hey man, logical man. Look, man. I kind of give dude a kind of point with the Jamel versus Usyk undisputed run, but at the same time it kind of destroys that because Usyk has proved himself at heavyweight and showed that no matter what you can say about his undisputed run, he moved into another weight class and beat the top heavyweight. So that kind of is dismissed. Then the Haney points were just, ridiculous. I mean, you really got a real good with his own logic with him, the intimidation bullshit. Because Haney, bro, I'm dead serious. Yeah, fighting Haney on the street, I'd be a little intimidated because he's a fucking boxer. But in that ring, I'm not even thinking of, I have no fear. This dude has no real power. He's going to stay back, going to jab me all night. The best thing I'm going to deal with that night is, maybe getting shit in my face, a little banged up, or get a little jabs in my face. That's about it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You might have to put some makeup over those bruises when you go out with the ladies later on. But yeah, I mean, you would take.
But those little love taps, I'll heal up in a week or so. So that ain't really no real damage. Then the guy with Bam Bam, man, it's impressive because I didn't know that he was 22, bro. Like that's. I see why, because at first I couldn't understand. He was saying he's going to be pound for pound number one day. He's going to be one of the good ones and all this. But then I found out how young he was. I'm like, oh man, yeah, this guy got a future. Then like he totally demolished the guy that beat the shit out of Chocolatito. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
oh man, this guy actually is going to be a problem.
Absolutely, man.
He's still growing, man. He's still growing.
Logical man. It's not that Devin Haney or Sor Stevens are not that good. Yes, they're really good. They're world champions. But when you only have like 10 spots on the mythical pound for pound list, and those are outperforming the other guys, they're already that good. These dudes are better because they're getting the knockouts. That's the reason we're mentioning these things, right?
That's
it's
right.
Like the totem pole.
Of course. I don't disagree with you when it comes to that because I'm just being honest. Shakira and those guys are boring as hell. I want to see action. I want to see fights. LDBC make excuses for this. It's because that's just they guys, but they don't pay for shit. I'd rather watch Bam Rodriguez. I'd rather watch him, and I'd rather watch Chocolatito, and I'd rather watch those guys because they're more exciting. I don't care if I don't know them that much, but I won't fall asleep.
That's right. That's absolutely right, man. Well, listen, logical, man.
And let me just say one thing, you guys.
Yeah.
Did you guys check out the return of Jamel of Miller? His fight. This shit was terrible.
Oh yeah, he looked 340 pounds. 340 pounds.
340 pounds. I think if Water come back, he should beat up that big mouth, knock his ass out 3 rounds.
Yeah, somebody should take him out, man. All right, well, listen, 3-4, logical, man. Thank you for calling in, man, and we'll catch you next one, right, man?
Take it easy, logical, man.
Have a good one, man.
All right, don't forget.
Now, who's 340? Brad Miller?
Jerome Baby Miller, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you.
Hey, BDA. Hey, sorry to kill the flow. Hey, isn't judo a sweet science too?
The judo, yeah. Judo's a sweet science too. Nobody wants to watch it because it's boring, but yeah, it's supposed to be the sweet science too, yeah. You're absolutely right there, Gonzalo. You brought up the good point. I said that last night on the What Rapids channel. I said jiu-jitsu is one of the best self-defense mechanisms out there, the best martial arts. But nobody really. It's not famous. You don't get 100,000 people watching it in a stadium because it's
only other judo people watch it.
Yeah. You
right.
need punching. Punching is what we want. And when you got skills and punching power, like Beterbiev, like Inoue, like Bam Rodriguez, and even aggressiveness, like Usyk and Lomachenko, and even Canelo, man, you got yourself a good package there. Those are the people. They're rich for a reason, people. And they've got fans for a reason.
And I want to say too, man, I've been on this podcast and I've sung Shakur Stevenson's praises as far as what he does. Extremely talented he is. He's got a great hand speed, a wicked accurate jab. The one thing I always bothered me is he doesn't like to get mixed up. He's just a great athlete who chose to box. He's not a fighter who chose to box. You know what I mean?
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Give me, but that's the thing. If you're that overwhelmingly like better, than your opponent, like Shakur, where you're controlling your fighter, and Haney, you're controlling that guy. But if you can't take him out, are you really that much better, or are you not? Because if you were that better, you could probably get the stoppage, because you could put punches and combinations and really overwhelm that dude where he's not going to see it coming if you're that good. But if you can't do it, it means that you're skating on fucking a fine line that you cannot define if you are that good or not. Right?
Yeah.
Either you have it or you don't.
And like BDA said, remember when he was in that fight? I think it was the same fight BDA was talking about. He was looking at his face up on the jumbo screen because the camera was on it, and he was obsessed by that little mouse he had under his right eye. Like he couldn't stop pawing at it and staring at it. And you know what I mean? And that's the fight I believe he said he didn't like it when he got hit.
Very
you know what I mean? And people say, oh, well, nobody likes getting hit. That's not true at all. A lot of guys don't even get into the fight until they eat a good one.
You know what, Jimmy? A lot of these guys, they drink or they do drugs because they want to blur the edge. I like fighters that live on the edge. I like guys like Beterbiev, Bam Rodriguez, Lomachenko. These guys step in, Golovkin, they step in there and they go, yeah, show me what you got, man. I'll show you mine. That's what they do. That's the way it's supposed to be done. That's pay-per-view right there, baby. Don't give me skills, pay the bills. I'm tired of that shit. Let's go to another phone call. And don't forget to hit the like. Let's go to 747. 747, you're in the air. 747, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Indeed we can. What's on your mind?
Hey, couple of quick points to a caller that called like 2 callers ago, talking about how he's not intimidated by the lower weight classes, and that the lower weight classes don't face the same kind of skill sets, like different variety of skill sets. Has this idiot not been watching the super flyweight tournament that's been happening the last 5 years? You got Sor Rungvisai, who's a brawler. You got Chocolatito, who's a volume-skilled puncher. And you got Juan Francisco Estrada, who's just an all-around technician. These smaller weight dudes have all kinds of skills and different skill sets that they bring to the table. So that point is just out the window.
That's a great point.
About like not being intimidated.
Sorry about that to interrupt you, but sorry to interrupt. But the other guy too. What's his name? The guy who lost to the Argentinian. He's a Southpaw Filipino. What was his name again? Jerwin Ancajas. Yes. He's a Southpaw counterpuncher. So again, that's another different style right there, Cole. You're absolutely right. Go ahead.
And the other thing about not being intimidated by the smaller weight classes, that just means you have some kind of like body issue to yourself, man. Like, are you insecure? I'm like, I can watch smaller dudes fight I'll watch them fight all day long because they're exciting. I was like, what do you have against it? Do you have like a small penis and you need to watch these King Kong motherfuckers?
Well, and the knockers, and the reason why the smaller guys don't age as well as the bigger guys, let's be honest, is because they don't eat as many shots. Because the little guys throw so many more punches and they eat so many more punches over the years, they end up taking more damage. That's the reason why little guys' careers don't last as long, because they take more shots to the head than the bigger guys.
Yeah, great point. But the other thing too is that the little guys have to throw a lot more because that's the only way they're going to get the attention.
That's right. That's the other thing, man. They're in a hard place.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gonzalo.
And they're little, but they're not like women little because they have to make weight. And I don't even know why the fuck I'm saying this, but I'm saying if you're making 115, you're really walking around like 130, right? So you're not like a fucking 115 fucking broad walking in the street. No, dude, if little motherfuckers like that decided to like lift weights and eat well, they're not gonna be looking like a fucking like a horse jockey all the time. But I don't even know why I'm mentioning it. But you know, they just got me going with that shit. It don't make no sense. If you're a boxing fan.
Hey, listen, excellent points from the caller. Caller, anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah. The other thing I was gonna say is, yesterday was a great example of why people don't like Haney versus why they love Bam Bam. Because Haney, let's be honest, Haney is like a welterweight who drains himself to fight at lightweight. And that means he's got all the physical attributes to be dominant, but he doesn't do it. Now, Bam Rodriguez is the same thing. From what I saw yesterday, he was a featherweight fighting at Superfly, but he used his advantages to win the fight and to be exciting about it. Haney doesn't. So anybody, like, if you're getting mad because they're criticizing Haney, yesterday was a good example why we do it, because he has all the skill sets just like, or all the physical attributes like Bam did yesterday, but he doesn't use them to his advantage. He just sits there and clinches and pot shots. It's boring.
They can't handle criticism of their fighters. That's how insecure they are. They're fragile. It's fragility. And I don't understand, because they don't even pay to watch them fight. So why are they so loyal to this? Because they're living vicariously through them. By the way, is this what rep it?
Nah, man.
You sound like him. What the fuck, man? I was going to give a what rep it a shout out for, because that's where I got the term back foot bitches from. I'm going to use it all the time now. I think it's a great term. By the way, listen, caller, anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, last thing. Sor Rungvisai, when the Superflies tournament started a few years ago, Sor Rungvisai was always talked about how he's big, he's intimidating, he's strong. Yesterday, Bam just walked right through him because Bam was so much bigger than him. So having said that, I think is a step backwards. I know there's good fights for him there, but I think it's a step backwards. I think he needs to move up. He needs to challenge Chocolatito. And if Chocolatito turns him down, he needs to move up to 118. 118, and he needs to fight Inoue. Because I'm willing to put my money on the line that he's going to give Inoue the best fight of his career.
I think so. I think so.
Would you really do that? I mean, if you were managing him, why would you want to, he was just fighting at 112, right? A couple of fights ago. I believe he jumped 115 altogether. That's just a lot to chew off in 16 fights, though.
But that's a great point, because if he's getting criticism for being a small guy and fighting at 15, if he goes down again, he's even fighting smaller guys. You see what I'm saying? That's a great point.
But he's the one that already stepped up to 115, and he shows that he's dominant there. Why not just keep moving up and build your legacy? I'm telling you, because he's too big. He's weight bullying them down there. It's not against him. If he can do it, great, do it. But I'm just saying,
wait, he was smaller than both Rungvisai and Kodos.
No, I think he looked bigger than Sor Rungvisai there for a little bit. Maybe he was
really.
He was bigger than him.
I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it. I'd have to
definitely smaller than Kodos.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it. Just to see. Oh, yeah, Quadras is a big dude, man. People underestimate him because he can't. He slaps with his shots. They don't see how big he is. But listen, 747. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, man. Take it easy out there.
All right, will do. Thanks.
All right, man. All right, guys, we got a couple of phone calls here to get to. So let's get. When you call in, please make your points succinctly and as concise as possible. Give us your thoughts on Bam Rodriguez. What's next for him? And if you want to talk a little bit about MJ too, give a shout out to MJ because he put on a show. Close the show with a plum, as it were. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 951. 951, you're on the air. 951, what's on your mind?
What's happening? Boom, boom, guy. LDBC.
Oh.
What's going on?
You tell me, man.
Yeah, I called on my other number. I got two phones, and my other number got shadow banned. I think that caller, 3 calls back, might have cooked y'all a little too much. Even though he wasn't LDBC, he was speaking straight
Two
back.
phones. Why, you're Donald Trump over here.
Well, let me just talk, BDA. So one point y'all got misconstrued that he was trying to say is that Asian culture usually have more of those smaller stature guys. Because let's look at Inau's last fight. It was a 40-year-old man who weighed 118 pounds. You're not going to get too many, people from other races that's 40 years old weighing 118 pounds. That's unless they're in the AIDS or cancer.
He was 118 pounds because he dropped weight to get to that. He walks on at 145.
Let him finish.
But what I'm saying is 40 years old, 118 pounds. I'm not talking about Inau. I'm talking about the guy he fought. So a lot of those people are Asian cultures can make that weight at that age. I don't know too many other races, not just black, any other races that can really make that weight.
All right. I don't really understand.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. Haney, he's not on pay-per-view. But he's a good fighter. Tank Davis is box office must-see. He can go to pay-per-view and sell good every time. Haney, I'm going to agree with y'all. It's not pay-per-view, but it is good boxing. And what I'm saying is, Loma, please walk Haney down. He's pillow-fisted. Tank, walk him down. Ryan Garcia, walk him down when you fight him so we can see, does he have enough power to, hold you guys off? Because you keep saying he's pillow-fisted, but none of these guys are walking him down. The story was Kambosos was going to walk him down. He didn't. So there must be.
But who on the panel says he's
missing
pillow fisted?
about Haney. What was that?
Yeah, who on the panel
We
though?
heard that
Nobody
story.
here. Us three called him pillow fisted. In fact, Gonzalez said the same thing I did. If he chose to put his weight over his front foot, he could hit hard. Then he does.
Yeah, by the way, let me just say something
Yeah,
here.
he
But hold on,
probably
hold on.
got the same picture as them.
Let me say something here. Boom, boom. We understand your points here, but I gotta tell you, man. People in the chat are bringing up a good point. You're talking about Inoue, how nobody wants to watch a 118 pounder, blah blah blah. You could learn a lot watching Japanese fighters. They bring the samurai spirit, the warrior spirit, and for a guy that's ducking the logical man, I think you could learn a lot from watching this Japanese warrior culture because it's about. Excuse me. I didn't interrupt you when you were talking. Excuse me. Extend me the same courtesy, please. You got two phones. I know you're big time, but you got to let me finish. So I would suggest you watch a little bit of this. Oh man, you're fucking interrupting me, man. Go ahead. You talk.
Okay, well, I called in on the other phone and you didn't pick up, so, But all I wanted to say, last point is, BDA, these smartphones, they're really technical. What they do is gather all your information and they push they'll push information and ads most relevant to you. So if you're getting penis enlargement ads, maybe it's your phone trying to tell you to start a prescription. All right, that's it. Boom, boom, out.
I don't get penis enlargement. That's what's he talking about. I said that the other people that are trying to fucking talking about size. He talked about size, and he's talking the logical man. By the way, I can't let that go, man. I mean, he talks a big game, but then he goes. You know what? It reminds me of high school. In high school, when two people, you would tell a guy, "Hey, listen, this guy's he wants to fight you, blah blah blah." You got to step up and get some respect, because otherwise, he's just gonna be bullying you and all that. And then the day of the fight, he goes, "Oh no, my shoulder hurts. My doctor said I can't fight." How many times did I see that in high school? All these guys, they always came out with an excuse not to fight, and that's what Logical Man is sounding. I mean, Boom Boom guy is sounding like against Logical Man. I don't want to debate him. I don't debate guys like him. Blah blah blah. Sounds to me like you don't debate anybody. That's the problem right there. And it's a guy with two phones. If one phone doesn't work, he can use the other one. I mean, come on.
Well, and to be honest, it's kind of an insult more like that 40-year-old guy, that old guy. Nobody was saying that when he was knocking out fucking young, number one ranked guys, 3 fights in a row with body shots, vicious body shots. He was looking great. I don't remember anybody saying he was looking old. He didn't look old until Inoue goes out and destroys him. And then all of a sudden, he's an old guy, and not not even given the fact that he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer for what he has already accomplished in his illustrious career.
I don't know about watching Inau, but I think he should be watching Inoue. I think that's a fight that he would enjoy. I think that's a fighter that he really does have the warrior spirit. Inau, on the other hand, I don't know. I think he needs to fight some bigger names. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to, who else is next here? 914, I think was next. 914, you're on the air. 914, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Fernando from New York.
Oh.
Fernando, what's up, buddy?
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to listen to Gonzalo's and Jimmy's breakdowns. They always bring in these little intricate things that you never think about, the color of the gloves. And, nobody ever talks about the aggressor also getting tired in the later rounds. So you guys definitely have a high level of boxing knowledge, and you guys bring in things that like the analysts on DAZN or Showtime or ESPN they just won't bring up, right? Because they're more about sensationalism and promotion.
You're making
Thank you.
You're gonna make him uncomfortable with all that praise. But go ahead, yeah.
I'm
doesn't make me
keeping it real.
comfortable.
This is one of the. it may not have the most subscribers, but I know a lot of people listen. Especially like you guys have Steve Kim and different people like that calling in. So that's credence.
We're blackmailing Steve Kim. That's why he has to come out here. But yeah, go ahead, man. What's on your mind about the fights last night?
So I want to talk about the older veteran giving the young upcoming prodigious talent the opportunity to have a fight and get that name on his resume, right? So there's two things that I want to talk about. Let's talk about Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman and Anthony Joshua, but the Anthony Joshua one's a little bit different. Danny Garcia was able to fight Eric Morales, a faded version of Eric Morales, and a faded version of Zab Judah, and he was able to make his bones and build his name up, and he eventually got the Amir Khan fight, and that's how he rose to stardom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with Keith Thurman, I think it was Jesus Soto Caras. I don't think Carras was a champion, but that older name, because I think Carras was turned professional like in the earlier part of the millennium. By the time they fought, it was like Carras was maybe 10, 11, 12, 13 years of pro, right? Why is it, when these guys like Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, they're asked to fight Jaron Ennis? Oh, I'm not going to do that. He's got to find somebody else to get a name. And Keith Thurman is saying Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford are holding up the welterweight division because they got all the belts. This guy was taking 2 years off at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get this reasoning, and they're not giving back to the sport. They're not giving. I don't think Keith Thurman's going to be Hall of Fame. So why not take the risk on possibly getting an L? And him and Jaron Ennis is a good fight. It doesn't have to be for a title, but he wants. I don't know if you guys saw the recent interview that he did. I think it was with the PVC podcast, but he was saying some weird stuff there, like, oh, if I fight Jaron Ennis, it has to be for a belt, and Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence are holding up the division. I don't get it. We saw a fight last night where the older guy gave the younger guy the opportunity. What's wrong with that?
Fernando, that sounds like, that's the new excuse for a lot of these guys. Well, he doesn't have a belt, so I'm not going to fight him. It sounds like excuses like guys like Boom Boom bring up when they don't want to debate somebody. But you're right. You worded it perfectly there. These guys used to pay their dues, and now they have 2 big fights at the most, and that's it. Oh, I want to rest on my laurels. That's an absolutely great point, man. You put it in very good terms there, man.
And I also want to say with the Anthony Joshua rematch clause, okay, fine, you could have a rematch clause, but you can't take a full calendar year to enact. That's an example of holding up the division. Like, no, you got to vacate one of your titles, or something has to happen where you could do your rematch when you want, but you're not going to hold up those titles because there's other guys that want to make exciting fights. So everybody holds back. Whenever the titles get held up, everybody holds back, and they start waiting and waiting and waiting for a vacancy or something like that.
You're absolutely right, man. They need to start fighting more often, man. They take the little breaks now because they get paid 10, 20 mil per fight, so they go, oh, well, I only got to fight one time, and I got a big payday. Fernando, man. Yeah, go ahead, man.
The last thing I want to say is with the whole Daniel Kinahan thing, right? Daniel Kinahan tried to take a page out of Al Heyman's book. When in a post-fight interview where Sam Watson gets in a fighter's ear and tells him to thank Al Heyman.
Uh-huh.
So Daniel Kinahan was doing that with Tyson Fury with certain fighters. When they were singing praises for Daniel Kinahan, that's the wrong idea. You think MCK Global and you keep it moving. But I guess the attention, there's some similarities here because you always see Sam Watson whispering something in the fighter's ear when the microphone is in front of the fighter, and they always say, "Oh, I want to thank Al Heyman." Well, this is what happened with Daniel Kinahan. This is why he's in trouble right now. That's why they can't really show the separation between Daniel and MGK or Daniel and Probellum because you got these fighters that's opening their mouth because Kinahan gets in their ear saying, "Yo, can you give me a shout out? Can you give me a shout out?"
That's a great point, man. Yeah, that sometimes exposure is not that, especially if you're not protected like Al Heyman is. Al Heyman's got protection. People want him to succeed. Not so with Kinahan. But listen, Fernando, great call, man.
Al Heyman's part of the Harvard Club.
There you go. That's very well said. We can get into that on Second Renaissance. By the way, listen, Fernando, man, great call. Call back next time, right, man? Excellent points.
Always a pleasure, guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, man.
Great call.
Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to, talking about 480. Let's go to 480. 480, you're on the air. 480, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man? What's on your mind?
All right, so it's a rare breed. So I thought Bam had a good performance, but why are we bringing up Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney? I don't really see what they have to do with Bam Rodriguez.
Because it's the pound for pound list, and if those guys were on the upper tier, all of a sudden they got put there by a lot of people. These guys dethrone those guys. Inui, Bam, Better BF, because they're outshining the type of performance against a good caliber fighter, and they're getting the stoppage while boxing and punching at the same time. It doesn't mean that Shakur and Haney are not good. Yes, they're good. But these guys are better.
I mean, regardless whether they're getting stoppages or not, I don't see why you would bring up those two in particular.
He just explained it.
There's only 10 numbers in the pound-for-pound list.
Well, I see what you're trying to do, BDA. Like we all know what the purpose is.
Well, tell me what it is, man.
It's like
no, I don't know. You tell me, man.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. You're always trying to bash the black fighter. We all know what your purpose is, bro.
We all know.
I don't know why you try to pretend like you're trying to be neutral, but let's keep it real. You're not. I wish you would just be more honest about it, though. But you know how human beings are.
Well, you're the guy that comes on the Discord and you admit that you're only there to troll. So I can't take your opinion too seriously either, man. Because I mean, it's at the end of the day, you're just there to troll, and or you play the victim card, like you're doing right now. So at the end of the day, I think Gonzalo, Jimmy, and myself, we explained perfectly why we're talking about how there's differences in the pound-for-pound list. You got the guys that are content with pot showing.
Well, I mean, whether they get stoppages or not, it's always an excuse with Charlo, Hank, hell, Wilder.
Okay, what's
it's always something. It's not about the fighting style.
Hold on. You're telling me what I think and all that, but tell me what I've said about, like, say, for Jermell Charlo, for example. What did I specifically say about Jermell Charlo after his performance?
Well, you say, even guys like Earl Spencer or Jamal Charlo, their fans are just getting on my nerves. I'm not going to get the main credit.
I asked you a specific question and you're dodging it. I said, what did I say about Jermell Charlo after his win over Castaño?
Yeah, you gave him credit, but it was like a reluctant credit.
Reluctant. Well, that's your. It's like when
he beat Castaño, but
rare breed. Now you're just making shit up. You're making shit up, and I expect that from you because you're a troll. You've admitted you want to troll. That's all you do on the Discord. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man.
If you want trolling, but I do like pissing certain people off.
All right, so if you like, okay, so if you accuse, but hold on, rare breed, you accuse me of doing this, but you have, hold on, rare breed, you know where I'm going with this. You've accused me of doing the same thing. So why are you complaining then?
Well, I've accused you of doing what?
Of being, I'm biased, just like you're biased. You're pissing people off. I'm trying to piss people off.
Yeah, but here's the difference, though. I don't try to downgrade other fighters of different groups.
Well, we have to judge fighters. That's what we do. It's a boxing show. We've got to judge whether someone's good or bad.
Look at the faces. Who are the main people you try to down on this show? Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Deontay Wilder. Do you see a pattern?
I see guys that just don't give it their all. That's the pattern I see.
Okay, exactly. So,
do you agree or disagree with that? Do you agree or disagree with that?
What?
Oh my God! Now he's pretending he doesn't hear me. You've got guys like Beterbiev. No, hold on. I gave you a chance to talk, and you stay silent. Beterbiev, Inoue, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. You're telling me those guys don't put on better performances with skill and with power and with balls, compared to guys like Devin Haney.
Well, if you're a boxing fan, you can appreciate all styles, not just knockouts. Like, if you want to go watch Rock'em Sock'em, why don't you just turn on I don't know, bare knuckle fighting? Like, if you're an actual fan of boxing and not a race fan, you should be able to appreciate all kinds of styles.
But is that what Beterbiev and Inoue are doing? They're just Rock'em Sock'em robots?
No, of course not. But
there you
know
go.
What I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
There's different styles. Like, everybody doesn't have to be a knockout artist. Like, if that's not your style, you shouldn't try to do that.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, but hold on. All we're saying is, we're talking pound for pound, and if you want to be the top pound for pound, and you want to be top 3, top 5, cream of the crop, then you got to show us something. You got to come in with skills and with knockouts and with aggression. If you're not doing that, you're going to be on the lower end of the pound for pound list. I'm sorry. I know you don't like to hear it. I know it makes you angry. And by the way, hold on a second. I hate to say it, man, but I think you're the guy beneath it all. You've admitted that you only root for a certain subsection of fighters. So you shouldn't be lecturing me on that. When I'm keeping it neutral.
But here's the difference between me and you, BDA. I admit for my bias, but I also said I don't try to downgrade the groups. You do that.
Well, I don't downgrade fighters just on their race. I do it.
Say, I'm actually unbiased. I'm neutral, but you're not neutral.
I am, because I'm keeping it about the boxing. I'm keeping it about the boxing. You're the guy that's admitted you keep it about race. So I don't understand what we're arguing.
You go on
You've
a show
admitted.
that's literally racist as hell. What's Rep It? Come on, like.
First of all, let me tell you about what Rep It. Let me tell you about what Rep It. He
share
stands.
those same views as what's Rep It.
He stands for family. He stands for democracy. He stands for patriotism, and he stands for unity and community. That's why he lets everybody on. How can he be racist if he lets anybody on and lets anybody speak their mind?
Just read the comments or the chats that are sent to him. Not sent to him, but
okay, I've
read
read
the
it.
little comments. You know what I'm talking about.
I've read it. Yeah, you know what? I've read it, and I've seen people say awful stuff about black people, and I've seen people say awful stuff about Mexicans. Just like there was a guy here named Taco Bell something, and I let him on the chat. I didn't ban him. We let everybody. There's a guy named Jackson. Hold on. There's a guy named Jackson. There's a guy named Jackson Bryan here and on Wet Rapids who's always talking about Mexicans, saying we're taco eaters, blah blah blah, wetbacks. That's democracy. You let anybody in. You can't be racist if you're doing that. I tell you who's racist. I tell you who's racist. The LDBC channels who don't let anybody else on.
Here's the real issue, BDA. Instead of coming on here and giving praise to Bam Rodriguez like he deserves, you just want to talk about the LDBC, your BBC infatuation. Like, let it go, bro. Like, why do you care so much what other people think?
Well, why do you care about what I care about?
Why do I care what you care about?
Yeah.
No, because people like you try to act like you're neutral or whatever, and it's annoying. Like, just keep it a buck. I don't like people who are dishonest.
All right. Well, then you
like
shouldn't like yourself. Then you should dislike yourself. Then you should dislike yourself.
Don't try to play both sides. We know which side you're on. You just need to come out and admit it.
So no matter what I tell you, well, hold on. No matter what I tell you, you already have that image of me. Now, speaking of images, you talk about getting angry. I hate to do this to you.
My friend.
I don't know if you're watching the screen here, but this is really gonna make you mad. Check this out, man. This is really gonna get you pissed off, and I'm just trying to make a point here. Look at this, an elderly Asian woman. You just want to punch the screen, don't you? It just makes you see red. I'm telling you, you should fix your own community before you start lecturing me. But I'm trying to keep it a buck here, like you said. I'm trying to. It's about unity.
BDA,
it's about community.
a couple months ago.
Hold on. You should call out the guys that you're defending, the guys that beat up women, the guys that run into people in cars. What's the matter with you? You're gonna lecture me?
To that?
You cannot be serious.
Can I respond to that? Okay, let me answer that.
Yeah, you can try.
So a couple months ago in Mexico, a bunch of fans started killing each other over a soccer game. Mexico is literally run by the cartel. Do I think every Mexican is a cartel member, a potential killer, rapist, whatever you want to call it? No. But anytime a black person does something wrong, apparently we're all responsible for their actions.
Who said that?
BDA, you're not very smart.
But who said that?
You're not smart as you think you are. You need to keep the same energy for everybody, bro.
Who said that, though? Another strawman from
what do I have to do with
No, BDA says he doesn't like when people support and prop these people up who do horrible things on the outside, and he doesn't like it, and he says that.
Yeah, but Jimmy, if some white guy kills somebody, is it your fault?
What is it about the yellow skin that gets a lot of these people riled up? I don't get it. Is it because
what about black skin gets you riled up, BDA? Do you have a BBC infatuation or something?
No, it actually, black skin, usually in boxing, it makes me bored. It makes me fall asleep. Guys like Haney and Shakur, man. I mean, that's why it makes me
maybe you can watch boxing then, because for as long as you're alive, black fighters will be relevant.
There you go. There you go. The real, now it's about race. It's about the black fighters. Yeah, we dominate the sport, baby.
That's your whole purpose here. Like, Ben, then you try. Look, this is what you're doing again. You're trying to pretend like it's not about, but that's your whole point for this show today.
I'm disappointed that you played.
Look at this young Mexican fighter. Why can't these black fighters be just like him and knock people out?
You played the victim card from the get-go. It didn't even take you 5 minutes this time. This time from the get-go, you got off running, man, right out of the gate. Well, listen, Redbury, we got to move on to other calls. It's not fair to keep you on here, although it is entertaining. But thank you for your call. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, man?
Yeah, all right.
All right. You go ahead, Jimmy, before we get to that call.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, listen, when I shit on Davis especially, I just want to say, it's because he doesn't fight, it's handpicked no-hopers, let's just be honest. He's not even testing himself. And when I say, because I'm white, so whether it's a Mexican or black, I'm not picking my ethnicity, I'm just saying, you got guys like Bam, who in 16 fights is already fucking kind of shitting on Errol Spence not fighting the best, like, and those guys in the PBC. They just don't, a lot of them don't test themselves. I'm not saying all of them, but Davis is a joke. His career is a joke. He fights in the periphery of the sport. Wilder, I never said shit about Wilder until the fucking Glovegate bullshit came out, and he started propping that stuff up. And then from as far as I'm concerned, he was open season. But, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, and you're just trying to make a point that it's not that these dudes are black, they're not exciting. Like when you watch Haney, that I shut the fucking TV off in the 9th round. I changed the channel because the shit wasn't entertaining, because I knew he was going to win. He was dominating the dude, right? But I knew he wasn't going to go fucking put his ass on the line. He wasn't going to step in the pocket. He wasn't going to bite down in his mouth shield and put his weight over his foot and say, fuck it, I'm going to try to take this dude out. He was content with just pot-shotting from the outside. And that's fine, man. You're going to get your wins here and there, but you're never going to get the base that, somebody who's willing to fucking put the line is going to get is all.
Time is a precious commodity. Like Pete, time is a precious commodity. Like Pete said, and at this point, I can't spend watching all my time watching these guys that don't give it their all. Like I said, I pay for TSN over here, which is the equivalent of ESPN, The Zone. When Shakur Stevenson and these boring guys fight, I'm not even going to watch it on the official app. I'm not going to give them the numbers anymore because they refuse to pay me respect, or I'm paying for them. So no more, Butchie. All right, let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 34, and don't forget to hit the like, fellas. 346, you're on the air. 346, what's on your mind?
Yeah, man, I'm listening to you guys. I heard, this is my first time ever catching you guys' show. I'm kind of like, I'm interested. This guy just said Bam is somehow shitting on Errol Spence. That's a statement. That's a hot take right there, champ. You said Bam, who I love, by the way, who boxed beautifully last night with movement, jabs, clinching. He did all that. Even if he didn't get to stop it, that still would have been a beautiful win. That was a masterful performance. My thing is, like, people talking about their guys are boring. Like, well, what are you doing as a boxing fan? Don't ever use the cliche of the term "styles make fights" if you can't respect all styles. Because I've heard people criticize Wilder, who literally got a 90-something% knockout ratio, and they're saying, "Oh, he doesn't have skill." But then you go to Devin Haney, who got skill. Well, he ain't knocking people out. It's kind of, it's. I know what it's about, but people would deny that. But it is what it is.
That's not what it. Well, that's not what it's about with me and these guys.
Well, let me explain something.
Shakur, you're a two-division, two-belt champion, unified champ, but the way you're winning ain't really entertaining me. Devin Haney, you're 23 years old and an undisputed champion. But the way you're winning, I don't like it because it's kind of boring to me. Well, then go watch fucking UFC, man. Because you ain't no real boxing fan.
Well, let me explain
Bottom
that to
line.
you. All right.
You should have been criticized a unified champ, undisputed champion, and you're criticized. And like I said, Bam Rodriguez and Devin Haney and Shakur, they got a great relationship. It ain't them who beefing or criticizing each other. They propping each other up.
Well, I don't care if they're... All right, Colin, let me respond to that. Let me respond to that. I don't care if they're friends, by the way. I'm not watching Ross and Rachel here, friends. I'm watching boxing. Number two, this is your first time watching the show, so I'm going to explain to you because you're lacking a little bit of context here. When you talk about Deontay Wilder, we certainly criticize Wilder because, yeah, he scores knockouts, but the build-up to the knockout was boring as hell. He would stand... look at the Washington fight. He couldn't... Listen, what we're saying is we like skills with punching power. And the other thing we're saying is, look, there's a pound-for-pound list. There's levels. You would agree with that, right? There's levels in boxing. Well, there's levels in the pound-for-pound list, too.
Yeah, well, Earl Stevens is a three-belt champion who took the bet off every champion he fought.
I didn't criticize. But hold on. We didn't shit on Earl Spence. I don't know who said that about Earl Spence, but I didn't.
Not you. Your co-host kept saying that Bam is shitting on Earl Spence, which I find it to be
shitting on the fact that he wouldn't. Shitting on the fact it's been 3 years from him avoiding fighting the best. When this kid Bam, right out the gate, only 15 fights, is fighting the best in the divisions.
Car injury or a car wreck where he flew off the car. What are we talking about? Of course, it's been 3 years. He's been hurt twice. Serious career. 2
years before that fight, he wasn't fighting Crawford. They wanted nothing to do with Crawford. He even admitted I was making. First, it was 80%.
Bam has one belt.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Okay, I love Bam.
Never let me say a word.
He's going to be a pound.
Well, let him talk. It's his time.
He's going to be there. But come on, don't bring Earl Spence in there saying that Bam is sitting on Earl Spence. Like, come on, bro. Stop that. Don't do that. That's not even. You make yourself look like a casual. Don't say that. That's not even. That's ridiculous.
Did you hear the contents of what I was saying? Did you hear what I said?
No, I said context it was ridiculous. You cannot say that Bam is shitting on Earl. Bam himself is saying what he's talking about.
Are you trying to tell me Spence has been fighting the best? Danny Garcia, Mickey Garcia? Really? That's the best?
Got two of them. What are you talking about? He took the belt off two of them with stoppages. What are you saying? Bam.
I didn't shit on Spence's fighting style. I said nothing about his fighting style. I didn't say he was a boring fighter. I said he avoids fighting the best.
Like a Texas Mexican, bro. I'm from Texas. Earl Smith has a Texas style. Every Mexican in the gym, they got the same step. They come forward and they're gonna get you the fuck up out of there. That's the kind of style that Earl Smith has.
But I didn't shit on Spence's style. I never said nothing negative about his style.
You know what? I will agree. I will agree with the caller on one thing. That Texas style is one of the best when it comes to American style, because Errol Spence himself said that he learned to fight on the inside by training in a Mexican gym. I think more of these American fighters, they want to get some ratings, they want to develop a little power. They need to get with Ronnie Shields in Texas, or go to a Mexican gym in Texas, or anywhere else for that matter. Go to a Mexican coach and get some real hardcore. Get some real hardcore sparring. That's what I'm saying.
You know.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
We don't have, like in Texas, we got blacks and Mexicans in the same gym getting along.
That's what I'm saying.
We ain't going at each other's throats. We working together.
That's why everybody's moving.
This division and trying to say Bam and this. Let me tell you something. Devin Haney is my favorite fighter.
Who?
Virgil Ortiz is one of my favorite fighters.
Oh.
Like, I don't have no issue with no Mexicans. It's just like I'm sitting back watching people trying to take shots. Oh, the black fans don't buy. What are you talking about?
Well, that's true.
Bro,
I'm speaking facts here.
My Mexican people in the gym, we go to the fight together.
I'm speaking facts about that.
Together.
The numbers, but the numbers show it.
Like,
the numbers show it.
The numbers show it. A conversation is both ways.
The numbers show it, caller. The numbers show it. A lot of the black demographic don't buy the pay-per-views. That's the reality. So listen, a lot of the black fans don't watch the fights. Don't buy them. That's the reality. That's the demographic. Now you're talking from personal experience that you hang out with Mexicans and you watch fights. Good for you, man. You're one of the.
Okay, so what?
Okay, but why you? Caller. You gotta calm down. You're screaming. I'm talking to you about something we agree with here. You're the type of guy that you watch fights with Mexicans, you buy the pay-per-views, or you all pitch in and you all watch the pay-per-view together. That's what I want to see. I want to see people buying pay-per-views and keeping the sport alive. But let me tell you something else. We're not gonna get anywhere by pretending that these backfoot bitches are saving the sport. They're not. The guys upon which the foundation of boxing lie are the guys like Arthur Beterbiev. I'm talking about Naoya Inoue. I'm talking about guys like JC Bam Rodriguez, and even to a certain extent, guys like Lomachenko and Usyk who come forward.
Well, yes, and trade punching style. I sit there and watch Bam Rios get his fucking head knocked around the ring dozens of times. I just seen that kind of style get his ass whooped a bunch of times by the guy who moves around. Bam, he got him out of there, salute him because he's a great fighter. He used angles and movement, clinching. He had to clinch. He had to jab. He did all of that. Salute to Bam. He's a fucking beast.
You already said that. Well, listen, caller. I'll tell you one last thing, caller. I'll tell you one last thing. I'll tell you one last thing. I'll tell you one last thing. We're all on a train to oblivion. Time is running out. Our lives are ending 1 second at a time. I got no fucking time anymore for backfoot bitches. If they don't have any respect for us paying customers, then don't demand me to have respect for them. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
How about you tell the guy who they fight to cut the ring off? How about that? How about you put more onus on cutting the ring off than making them fight?
Well, they are, and then, well, they are, and then, they are. Well, hold on, caller, they are, and then guess what those fighters do? And guess what those fighters do? They clinch, and the referee, the corrupt referees, the corrupt. But hold on, let me finish. And then the corrupt referees allow them to. You want to give passes to these back foot bitches? I can't have that. The sport's gonna die. The sport that you and I love is gonna die if we let these back foot bitches have their way. Anyway, listen, caller, good call. Call back next. Show up on Friday. It's open lines. Anybody can jump on the panel, and we can talk more then. All right, man?
Yeah, man.
All right, thank you. He's only dejected. All right, thank you, Elizabeth. All right, well, listen, we were done with the calls here. Very good call. Sorry, Jimmy, but again, Jimmy, like I said, I can't let people...
No, I know. That's why I stopped. I just want to get that one thing out because, again, sometimes I talk fast, I blurt things out, and I'm not putting my thought in behind what I'm saying. So I can understand where he just heard that. I was like, oh, he's shitting on Errol Spence. I never said Errol Spence was boring. I never said anything like that. I actually say he's an exciting kid to fucking watch fighting. All right? But my point being, out of his own mouth, I could retire tomorrow and I'd be fine with my career. Really? Really? You'd be fine with your career. That's a problem. And there's a reason. This isn't, who are you going to blame for this? His pay-per-views have plummeted. Every time out, now 4 times in a row have consistently gone down. Why isn't his pay-per-view selling? Is it because the style sucks? No. Does he try to put people out? Yes. Absolutely. He's got all the things you'd want to watch in a fighter. It's his opposition. And what happens is when you have the LDBC propping them up, people don't get it. They don't understand. Like, wait a minute. They're being propped up as this, this and that. And yet his pay-per-view numbers. And who supports pay-per-view? Casuals. And why are casuals turning him off? Stop buying his pay-per-views. It's because his level of opposition has been weak. And he has been avoiding profit for years. And that's what I meant. I was propping up Bam saying, out of the chute, this motherfucker is taking on the best in every division he goes into. You know what I mean? That's the type of shit that brings people to the sport. They don't want to see Tank Davis beat up another no-hoper. I mean, who wants to watch a fight that the fucking outcome is a fucking guaranteed? You already know it going into the fight. That's not a fight. That's a World Star video over 12 rounds. I'm done.
And by the way, you know what, Jimmy? The caller brought up the valid point when he said, well, Errol Spence was in an accident. But then again, who forced Errol Spence to drink and get drunk and get behind the wheel while being inebriated? Nobody forced him to do that. That was his choice. So, listen.
Yeah, no broken bones either. I mean, how much damage did he take? He scraped on his face. He could have been killed. By the grace of God, he wasn't. But he's probably taken more damage to the head in fights. Let's just be honest.
Listen. I'm done. Like I said, we're all on a train to oblivion 1 second at a time. Time is a precious commodity. I got no time for backfoot bitches anymore, especially when they disrespect us, when they say, well, you ain't going to pay my medical bills when I retire. Guess what, fucker? I'm paying for your bills right now. Now, if you don't like us criticizing fighters and if you want to treat them with kids' gloves, go watch 78 Sports, who didn't even cover the Jesse Bam Rodriguez fight. Go watch Fanon, who didn't even cover it either. Go watch Boxing Eagle.
They don't cover that either.
Go watch Trill Boxing. Look at this. You want to talk about Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury? Go talk about that. Go talk about 78 Sports, dogfighting. Go talk about that. If you don't want to hear real boxing talk here, go watch those guys then. I'll be right back. You guys keep it going.
Go Gonzalo. I don't know if he's there. But yeah, but my point is, when it comes to Errol Spence, there's a reason his pay-per-view numbers, and don't shoot the messenger, this is a fact. They have gone down in increments of 50,000. His numbers have gone down. As you're rising in the stature and supposedly, fighting the better people, what happens? Your pay-per-view numbers go up. They don't constantly go downwards. And that's a direct correlation to who he's fighting, because he wasn't fighting the fight everybody wanted. They want to see him in against Crawford. If not Crawford, then put him in there against Boots. Put him against Virgil Ortiz. I mean, over 5 years, he went over to England, took out Brook, right? Then he got on the shelf for 11 months, didn't do anything. Come back, and it's just been Danny Garcia, a gatekeeper who hasn't had a significant win since 2013 and has never had a significant win at 147. Those are just facts. Mickey Garcia is a career super featherweight. I believe 33 of his fights were at 126 or lower. Yeah. So, I mean, and he fought at 147. So that was a bigger size disparity than between Lomachenko Rigondeaux. But yet, people plotted him onto the pound list for beating Mickey Garcia. And again, that's the reason why I said, that was the context in which I said Bam is shitting on these guys because he's fighting guys who are bigger, better, or one-time world champions or the best in their divisions. He said it, I'll fight anybody in these weight classes. And he means it. He has to come to the side of the street, I want 80%, all this talk and all this bullshit to avoid the fight. Anyways, Gonzalo, go, brother.
Yeah, and it's like almost Pacquiao Mayweather 5 years later, and they're trying to rearrange the standard and say, well, you as a fan keep waiting, but then again, this is a standard, and this is where you're supposed to like what? Stand around and fucking wait. Just make the fight happen.
Hey, by the way, fellas, sorry, I think I forgot to read a super chat here from our good friend Dennis. But hold on, okay, I think I missed a whole bunch of them. Fuck, I can't go back, man. All right, shout out to Jonathan Lambarena for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Jermall assaulted a waitress. Gervonta assaulted his lady. Shakur punched a girl. Spence gets a DUI by himself. Race ain't the issue, caller. That's right. I'm looking at the criminal records here. I'm not looking at skin, caller. Shout out to Jonathan Lambarena. By the way, if somebody can please, Butcher, if you're listening, please, if you can rewind and see Dennis's super chat, because for some reason, YouTube doesn't let you... watch the list anymore of the people that contributed with the super chat. Sorry about that, fellas. Thank you for holding the reins here. What were you guys talking about?
Oh, we were just basically going over, I wanted to put it in context what I meant. It wasn't an insult towards Spence's conditioning or how he fights. I just think the avoidance of fighting the best at welterweight, which what he did, he was only doing in-house guys that everybody knew the outcome, although he did go life and death with Porter. But my point being, Bam is the type of guy, I mean, obviously, he went up from 112 to 115 way before anybody thought he should. Even his own people were really think, wow, he really wants to do it. He's saying he wants to do it. He thinks he can beat him. And so, he went up and he's creating a legacy, not standing around waiting to get paid off somebody's. And I'll tell you, when it came to Spence, the thing that really was it for me, when he made that comment, I could retire tomorrow and I'd be happy with my career. That to me was a fucking joke. Really, dude? You'd be fine with leaving the biggest fights, not fighting the best in your own division, not fight. You know what I mean? You're fine with that? Then you're not the type of fight I want to support. I want to fight. I want the guys who want to fight the best, and create a legacy.
You said, I don't want to criticize. Jimmy, you being a paying customer for more than 30 years watching boxing, going to fights, paying for the network, supporting these people financially. That goes a good long way, man. That's you're not spilling out peanuts here. You should criticize whomever you want, man. And and you want to go hard at them, fucking be vicious against them. You're well within your rights, man. And we got to get that through people's head too out there, man. That people that go, well, I don't want to, these guys stay between the ropes. We should respect them. If they don't respect us back, why am I going to show them respect when I'm paying hard-earned money to watch them fight? No more. No more, Butchie. No more.
When I was married, my wife said, I'm sorry, go, Gonzalo.
No, I was saying, when it comes to criticizing other fighters, when it comes to fighting and keeping it boxing, I'm not the one, and leave the fighters out of it. The people on the YouTube that contaminate the sport. I've never called a black dude a taco-eating motherfucker. Never.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you get personal with me, then all of a sudden I'm the fucking asshole when I've always kept it boxing.
Yeah, listen. These people, they have no respect towards each other either. That's why they're living vicariously through athletes. I mean, can you imagine that's who you look up to? A fucking athlete. I mean, I gotta tell you, that's pathetic. Listen, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, and let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 347. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
Listen, BA, why aren't you putting pressure on Tyson Fury, who's linked with a murderous Kinahan cartel leader, right? Because I already did my research on the Kinahan cartel. I watched documentaries, right? And Daniel Kinahan is supposed to be the money man, getting money for the cartel, right? Also, Daniel Kinahan is putting boxers' lives in danger, because if you saw a couple years ago, their rival cartel came into the weigh-in that Kinahan was hosting and shot up the place, killing one of the Kinahan cartel members, right? So, I mean, why do you think twice, right? Twice Fury was not able to become into the United States of America, right? They're not just, doing this for no reason. It's because Fury was linked with Kinahan, a murderous criminal who murdered, many of people. So, come on, man.
Well, listen, I was on board with everything you were saying until you started calling the guy Danny. As if you know him. You tell me he's a murderer, he's a fucking this and that, and you're calling him Danny. Call him Daniel. Don't give him that respect as if you know him. Sounds like you fucking respect the guy a little bit too much. One of those people that are infatuated with Tony Montana and all those criminals. But let me tell you something else. I watched the documentary. I don't trust these documentaries too much. I do have to wonder what agenda they're on. And number 3, Tyson Fury might be associated with the guy for business purposes, but I don't know if they're hanging out and having, you see one picture with them together. People assume they're having beers and going to each other's christenings. And if he is, even then, Tyson Fury is not fucking going out punching women and running people over with cars. So, we do have to keep it a buck, as I like to say. And there's context there.
Second of all, BJ, I'm sure, right? I'm not saying that you did anything too bad in your life. I'm saying I'm sure you done some stuff in the past that you're not proud of. We all have done stuff in the past that we're not proud of. Okay, so at the end of the day, these are boxers. You should be watching what they do inside the ring, right? They are here to box. They're entertainers. Why do you care what they're doing outside of them? They're regular people, just like me and you.
So you're telling me that God is absent. You're telling me God is absent in the ring. Let me tell you something here, buddy boy. It's Sunday, and I'm gonna have to get biblical in your ass. God is everywhere. God is everywhere. Whether it's in the ring, when you're taking a dump, the Virgin Mary is right there next to you, and so is Jesus and God. He's everywhere. You can't just brush him away. Hey, listen, I'm gonna go in the ring, so I'm gonna be able to cheat. I'm gonna be able to elbow people and headbutt and fucking nah. God's watching everything you do.
BD, you talking about God, but weren't you just drunk driving yesterday? So come on, man.
Okay, that wasn't even funny. You just came up with a non sequitur. But listen, we do have to move on, MMA champ. But anything else you want to say before we move? Oh, by the way, hold on. Before he goes, the MMA champ and Felipe have been running the BDA prediction league. And it's coming to an end. And I do believe, well, we're going to announce the winner very, very soon. But MMA champ, anything you want to say about the prediction league? Everything go as planned, like you wanted it to?
Yeah, the prediction league. Yeah, everything went as planned. And, and if you didn't join, you don't know anything about boxing, you're a retard, you're disabled. But anyway, listen, whoever wins, they're the best at predicting fights. Shout out to BDA and everything. Peace out.
All right, shout out to MMA champ for calling in, always bringing the heat, even if the heat is pointed towards us. He keeps it fair. You got to give him that. All right, so we were talking about MJ. Akhmadaliev. Let me tell you something. Jimmy, I agree with you. Akhmadaliev is not as flashy as Fulton. Fulton looks smoother, like you said. But I do have to wonder if the power is going to make a difference. Because when you get two guys that are that skilled and they're going to be engaging in a boxing match, I got to wonder if the bigger shots from Akhmadaliev are going to work.
Well, that's what it's going to come down to, right? You're 100% right. Does he have just enough power to keep Akhmadaliev off him? Or is his punching power that weak that Akhmadaliev come the later rounds wouldn't be worried about walking through it? You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it'll come down to.
And also, if it's kind of like a punch count, punch stats wise, if they're kind of exchanging the same amount of punches, you would have to kind of count more the guy that hit harder. If it's maybe only by just appreciation. But obviously, you know that Akhmadaliev punched harder than Fulton. You kind of have to give credit to the guy that hit harder if the fight's close, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, though. If Fulton were to fight Akhmadaliev, I think Fulton would actually maybe do well all the way out and then sometimes all the way in. Because I don't know if Akhmadaliev has that inside game. That Fulton can fight all the way in or all the way out. It's impressive. He does have a full tool bag. Not like these other back foot bitches that we see. But so that would be an interesting thing to see. What do you guys think? Could he fight Akhmadaliev on the inside?
Well, he only got brazen once his last opponent was the last opponent, Roman. Once he saw that Roman was wilting or getting tired, that's when he separated himself. But if he can't find that separation because Akhmadaliev is going to be right there with them until like the later rounds, he's not going to decide to get brazen like he did against Roman with Akhmadaliev. And now let's say Akhmadaliev turns it up to where he's not running away like Roman did, where he's staying right there with you, competitive, but he's landing the harder shots, I would have to say I give that dude the decision if it goes a distance because his punches are counting more to me because they're probably harder than Fulton because we know Fulton can't crack. And sometimes, look, in boxing, not all people are created equal. Yeah, skills pays the bills, but if God gave you punching power and a tough chin and you're doing something just because you can more than anybody else, hey, life is unfair. But at the same time, you're a fighter and this is what you bring to the table. That counts too. That's pound for pound.
That's right. Listen, it's like when people say, well, if Mike Tyson didn't have punching power, well, if I mean, come on, if ifs and buts were nuts, penis and nuts, man, I mean, come on. Or what's the expression? If ifs and nuts were candy and nuts. I mean, yeah, it's we can't go to that point. People are born with power.
If my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle.
There you go, yeah. So, yeah, listen, people are born with intangibles. I'm talking speed, power, athleticism, and...
I think if Inoue can handle 122, if his power carries... I think people at 122 would be in trouble too. I think he's that fast, that accurate, and that sneaky with his punches. I still think he could go up there. I just like to see him fight once at 122 just to see, but I still think he's the true monster around 118 and 122.
Yeah, I agree, Jimmy. Would you like to see Inoue, even though he's so dominant, would you still like to see him have one fight, like some sort of not a tune-up necessarily, but against not Fulton or Akhmadaliev, just to see how he looks at...
Yes, I'd love to see him at 122, just to see his speed, because that'll be what will be affected the most, I believe. But, with the 4 pounds, we'll see. I mean, 4 pounds in that frame is a big difference. But if his speed is anywhere near it is at 118, because that's half his power is from his speed, man. He delivers that shit with just unbelievable timing, no wasted movement. I mean, he's I'm at awe when I watch that kid fight. In the same way, I'm starting to be that way with Bam. I mean, he did some, just impressive. It's just exciting to watch. No, you know what I mean? My pound for pound list, Bam's already there because my pound for pound list consists of people I don't miss their fight. Like if somebody I know dies, their weight better not be on the night that fucking Bam's fighting, or they can just put him on ice for a couple of hours because I'm gonna miss. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna like that fight. I want to see that fight.
Like
that's
you know why
he is.
You know why he looks so good too, Jimmy? You know why? Because just the simple fact that Rungvisai can crack, you got to stay lively in there. You cannot drop your hands. You got to keep it moving. You got to move your waist. Like when there's little lulls in the inside, when maybe there's a little bit of a tying up, not too much, but you cannot just stay without doing anything. Like really, whether you're doing something, punching or blocking or moving or rearranging the distance in order to the next move, whatever you do next, that keeps you alive. That little fear allows you to stay on your toes. And that's what he did. Exactly. He performed well because of that.
Yep. And then you look at like Inoue, right? Like you just said, one of the most impressive wins he had, Steve brought it up last time he was on. He fought a kid who had like 43 professional fights. No, closer to 50 actually at the time, had one loss. It was a 12-round decision to Donaire. Never been off his feet. You know what I mean? Never mind hurt. And he obliterated him in 2 rounds. I mean, he goes out there and destroys people who've never been off their feet in 2 rounds. That's right. That's historic power. That's crazy punching power. He's just demolishing top-end competition. So, I mean, that's where the praise is. It's so weird, too. Like you just said, man, you get on Twitter and fucking people just, who did he fight? That was the big thing. The people saying, who did he fight, are the same people, nobody watches that division. So, again, because of your ignorance of the sport, it's because of fucking, he's not fought anybody. When in reality, you just don't know any of the guys he's fought because you don't follow the smaller weight classes.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a size thing. The size queens don't want to watch them, and it's because they don't share the same skin color. Shout out to Earl Stevens. Huh?
Yep. So go, brother. Go.
Okay. Shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution with the super chat. He says, "Just want to support your content. Helps keep me awake through trucking through the night." Whoa! Shout out to Earl Stevens. I didn't know he was a trucker. Well, I'm glad we can provide some entertainment for you, Earl, and thank you for your contribution. And hope you had a good time today. And I want to give a shout out to a couple of people here who are giving, like Larry Liston says, give Bam Bam some respect. Absolutely, man. You got to give that guy respect. Somebody, what about me says, Bam leading boxing by example at 22 years of age, while the others are firing Twitter. He says, while the other ones are firing Twitter tweets back and forth. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great fucking point.
That's why I'm preaching here. We're preaching about the true path of the Crimson Cross, which is through action. Anybody can talk on Twitter and blah, 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 but we want to see fighters that are actually putting on some action and making moves. Making power moves.
And can I say shout out to Earl too, the guy who just with the chat for the trucker, unsung heroes. People don't realize without truckers we would have nothing. Our whole lives depend on truckers, and they don't get the respect they deserve.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. It's not a flashy profession, but it is something that keeps. I mean, just look at what happens when sometimes a road gets fucked up or something, or a train, or they can't transport goods, and people are starting to people go nuts. So shout out to Earl Stevens and the rest of the truckers.
But what if he's a serial killer and he got a girl in the back there of the truck?
Well, then...
well, who cares? Because all we care about is they just deliver the stuff, man. It ain't about what they do.
Oh, man. By the way, shout out to King Bucho, who just gave me... Oh, man, I don't think that was the... Okay, but I think I missed this super chat from Rex, who said, I can feel my credit score go down whenever these guys talk. I mean, he's talking about the colors. Well, shout out to Rex. A little racial humor right there. A little racial humor never hurt nobody. That's what we allow on... we allow a guy who keeps going on and on about Mexicans and tacos and how we're a bunch of wetbacks. So listen, you got to allow everything on here. That's true democracy. Diversity is our greatest strength. In regards to that, well, listen... I think we talked about it all. Next week, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, not that many big fights. We've been spoiled for the past 2 months, I believe. Non-stop fights every gosh darn month. Now this time we're gonna be in a bit of a lull. Let me check the schedule here real quick. I think Joey Joyce is fighting, but he's fighting a guy that's not really. Well, Hecky Butler. Oh no, that was last night. Hold on. Next week is gonna be July, right? The 2nd, yes. So we've got Joey Joyce versus Christian Hammer. Blah. Who wants to see that? Solani Tete fighting on the undercard. He's still around. Marius Brady's taking on Jay Onomatopia. I don't know who that guy is. I'll have to check him out on YouTube. Maybe he's a good opponent. But other than that, there's nothing that big. So we'll probably have to come in here on Wednesday and do a special show. Or we just do a bunch of second renaissances. We'll see. No. Guys, anything else you want to say?
Danny Garcia's fighting Benavides' brother, Jose Benavides. That's crazy. Yeah. 54.
That whole card is trash.
Again.
Well, I just like to say one thing. The other day you did a show where we were talking about Fighter of the Year. And I said, depending on his performance against Sor Rungvisai, right now, February, and 4 months later in May, in the way he's beating these guys, right now, even if he doesn't fight again, he's in the running for my Fighter of the Year. If he fights one more time, he's a shoo-in. That's all I got to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Some people were saying that on the Friday show. They go, well, Bam Rodriguez, and he still has time to make one more good fight. And if it's against Nakatani or against Martinez or against somebody else at 122, you never know, man. He could be Fighter of the Year. But there's a lot of competition going on right now.
Yeah, but he's too little. He doesn't deserve it.
I think Gonzalo's being hyperbolic here.
If you look at the people everybody else are fighting, you know what I mean? There was a lot of people last night who was giving that to Sor Rungvisai. They didn't think he was going to be able to handle his power, So I don't know what the Vegas odds were. I think was Bam favored? And if he was, I don't think it was by much. But that's what you like to see, man. You like to see kids test themselves.
Well, I thought it was going to go the distance. That's why I was so impressed with the performance. The fact that he could have just gave it his all. I mean, he just stayed on the back foot, being a back foot bitch and just running around the ring and shaking his ass and running out the clock. But he didn't. He went. I mean, Sor Rungvisai has got an iron chin, man. Yeah, 35 years old. Okay, but fuck, man. I mean, Chocolatito and Estrada couldn't come close to doing it. By the way, yeah, look, listen. Here's some of the guys that are out there for him at 112. Nakatani, Julio Martinez, and Sonny Edwards. He beats any of those guys in impressive fashion. He's got as good a case as anybody to be Fighter of the Year.
Absolutely,
man. Yeah. By the way, Gonzalo brought up Jimmy. I know usually we get into certain disagreements sometimes where We have a shit card, or what looks like a shit card, and I tried to pump it up and everything. This one, I cannot defend it. The one Gonzalo brought up. Check this out. Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez Jr. I don't even know if Jose Benavidez Jr. actually had a win. I think he lost his last fight. I don't know if he had a win in between. This guy's walking on one leg, fucking a pirate, Longbeard, Blackbeard or something. Adam Nowacki versus some dude I've never heard of. Could be good. I don't know. I have to check him out. And Gary Anton Russell versus Rances Barthélemy. Rances never been Barthélemy. I mean, come on.
Trash. Fucking
That's so
trash. A PBC, typical trash PBC card where no fucking fight, no decision is already. I mean, the judge could fill a card out before the fight, mail it in. The only difference is will they stop him or not. But none of those fights are in the air. And Danny Garcia at 154, are you kidding me? So the guy who has never had a significant win, has lost every big fight he ever stepped up and fought, elite competition, he lost. But now he's going to go to 154? Does anybody think he has even an outside chance of becoming a champion? No. Then what are we doing here? Talking about time being a commodity. I'm not wasting my time on that shite. Yeah. That shit was happening in my backyard. I'd pull the fucking shade down.
Jimmy, you were talking about how if Bam is fighting, you'd miss a funeral for it. I think this is the type of fight where you actually want to create a funeral just to miss this fight. You want to whack somebody.
Oh, that's funny.
At least it's 100% kind of guaranteed that there's not going to be anybody getting on the fat foot, on the back foot. Garcia's flat-footed, and he's a stalker, while the other dude got a peg leg. So, at least they're not going to be running around all over the place.
That's a good
point.
And
Rantis Beth Molecule, he's been scotched a few times, hasn't he? Been by, dudes? I don't think he's anything.
Remember the movie Blood Out? You took my leg. You took my leg.
Gonzalez, he's looking at the glass half full, man. That's a good point. Since he's fighting Long John Silver over here, who's only got one leg. He's not going to be running around the ring. That's a great point from Gonzalo. See, that's why Gonzalo's, yeah.
No, I was going to say it's just good to have Gonzalo back.
Absolutely. I was going to say that too, man. Yeah, Gonzalo, good to have you back, man. I know you took a little hiatus.
Yeah, it's all right. Thanks.
I still was like, man, he broke up the band, the motherfucker.
Yeah, very humble, Gonzalo, too. He'll take his roses and he'll throw him back in your face. Yeah, man, I mean, listen, boxing, it's there's not that many big, super mega fights down the road, but we got, a little bit of everything for everybody. Maxayo, but then we got Barbosa fighting and Eric Rosas and Ryan Garcia taking on for two. Well, I'm not too excited for that one. Joel Gonzalez versus Isaac Dogboy. And then in the fall, that's when the schedule starts to build back up. Usyk versus Joshua on August the 20th. Pedraza versus Richard Colme. Okay, this is the other card. Ruiz versus Ortiz. Who's fighting on that one? We've got Isaac Cruz versus Eduardo Ramirez. Oh, that's not bad. Jose Valenzuela versus Jezreel Corrales. It's not bad either. And Joe's favorite fighter, Abner Mares, where he wears sunglasses indoors versus Miguel Flores. It's not a bad card.
They're letting that dude fight again? I thought his eye was completely junk. And that's the reason why he wasn't able to fight. California wouldn't give him a license.
Interesting.
Because his eye was so damaged. Well, that's nothing new in Heyman. He did that back in 2007 with a guy. Doctors told him he can't fight. His eye's so damaged, so they moved the fight out of state, and he got blinded.
Well, this is taking place in California, so I don't know how that's happening. But look, this card, I was going to say, again, I was going to be nice, and I'm going to say it's not a bad card. Then I realized it's pay-per-view. So, no, yeah, it is bad. Once you put it in context of a pay-per-view, fuck that, man.
Trash. Fucking trash. Absolute joke.
And it's the week before or 2 weeks before Canelo versus Golovkin. I mean, you think people are going to shell out money to watch that when they're probably going to have to watch Golovkin Alvarez on pay-per-view? This is enough. I've had enough.
And do you know why boxing always... Sorry, Gonzalo, go. I'll come after you.
Canelo looking a little angry for no reason, no? Is he trying to hype himself up?
I think it really got to him. I think Golovkin, who keeps calling him out about his PED usage, I think that's really getting under his skin, man.
In the 4 years, he's been saying he waited 4 years. That's not lost on Triple G that he waited till he hit 40 before he was, wanting to give the people what they wanted. I'm a big Canelo fan. I've always propped him up, but when it comes to that, I will not give him his stick because he fucking waited that dude out. He took a shot in that second fight, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm waiting till that motherfucker is at least 3 years older." You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Sorry.
Oh no, go.
I was gonna say, if he wants to really get under Canelo's skin, he should fucking go all out about the PD usage, because that's something he can't deny. Canelo, he's and maybe he'll get an angry Canelo who'll go nuts, and he'll walk into something. You never know. I'm talking psychological warfare here. It's an unsung art. It's not cheating, because hey, if the guy can't handle you getting under his skin, you're not elbowing him, punching him in the balls, and all that.
And you know why? Because I agree with Canelo. That's such bullshit with the fucking he was taking clenbuterol. Don't get me wrong. I think he took growth hormone. I think he definitely took PEDs, but he didn't fuck with clenbuterol. That cheesy ass gross shit that fucking chubby chicks take before they go to the beach in the summer. That's not what he was in. I believe by the dose of the stuff in his system and the shelf life, I totally believe it was some contaminated meat. So that's why he's so angry. But at the same token, dude, you can't really push it too hard because he definitely fucked with something. But it wasn't clenbuterol. I just want to say one thing about the archaicness of boxing, how in a glacial pace this sport doesn't change. Do you know why boxing always dies in the summertime? Do you understand why in North America that's been traditionally the case? Because it's just more dangerous for a fighter to fight in a place where it's 100 degrees and people smoking, and back in the day they still smoked in the auditorium, but because the AC units weren't what they were until like probably the 1980s, before you could really 70s or so, till you could really cool down a auditorium enough where it make it comfortable. So, but those are the reasons why the sport has always been kind of dead in the dog days of summer, because it's just too hot for the fighters. But now with the way we can keep places cooled down, I just think it's stupid.
Absolutely.
Because you're not competing against other sports other than baseball. So it's another opportunity missed by boxing. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, they're slow. They're slow, but they start learning. Listen, we're gonna educate them, Jimmy. We're gonna give them some good ideas for free. For free. Just make the good fights. Just make the big fights happen, and we'll be happy with that. Excuse me. Anything else you guys want to say before we move on? I think we should wrap it up, man. Almost 3 hours.
Sure thing.
All right. Well, listen, guys, thanks again for being on, talking about Jimmy, Gonzalo. You guys always make it entertaining. Thanks to everybody that called in, everybody that donated with the super chat, and everybody that listened. You guys, I can't thank you enough for listening and being part of this community. We're going to try to save boxing, man, because we got to get people, we got to light a fire under people's asses. I want to say a big shout out to guys like Parokua, 1 Foot Out the Door, Abe, So Passy Live, 20s, Dennis Harris, Alejandro Solis, Iron Fist, 1 Foot Out the Door. Shout out to 1 Foot Out the Door. Shout out to Norman Louis. Shout out to Rafael Garza. What's that?
Oh, nothing. I was coughing. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Shout out to Omar E. Shout out to the Quags, Steve P. All you guys. If I missed anybody, the
Texas Bulldog.
Texas
he donated
Bulldog,
a few times.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Texas Bulldog, Knockout Ned, Abe. You guys are the best. We'll catch you on the next one. Check out Second Renaissance. We're probably going to be posting their more videos or streaming their live, because there's not that much boxing this Saturday. So, guys, thanks again for joining us. Catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
I'm sorry. One more time.
No more back foot bitching.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.